Brocious, Ernie Young, and Brent Main batting ninth.
Defensively behind Doc Gooden tonight, Scott Pose again at left field, made a great play last night. Chad Curtis at center, Paul O'Neill at right field. Wade Boggs at third base tonight, Derek Jeter at short, Luis Sojo at second, Tito Martinez at first, Joe Girardi's catching. There's a look at Wade Boggs, who's been DHing quite a bit of late. But tonight, Charlie Hayes is going to get the night off, and Wade Boggs back at third base.
Kenny, I mentioned Doc Gooden has been about a 50-50, 500 pitcher, and that's been the situation at third base. Remember in spring training when there was the competition about who would win the job? Hayes has started there 53 times, and tonight it's Wade Boggs' 51st start at third base. Mentioned a lot of trades, a lot of action tonight. We'll update you on the others, but those affecting the Yankees, Mariano Duncan was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays for minor leaguer Angel Ramirez. An outfielder, you see his stats at the AA Knoxville team, so that smile is back on Mariano's face, and all of his teammates in the clubhouse before the game wishing him well. You heard Joe Torre's comments to Ken Singleton in our open on how he felt for Duncan, how much he meant to the ball club last year. It was a nice gesture. David Cohn, who gave him a little embrace and saying goodbye, say we wouldn't have won it without you last year. So Pete Incaviglia called up from the Columbus AAA Farm Club of the Yankees and activated, arrived just prior to tonight's ball game. Rookie Scott Spezio will lead it off, and he takes strike one.
Now, this is the second game that Spezio has led off this year. Last night was the first time he's ever led off in the major leagues.
Just off the edge, 1-1, a comfortable 80 degrees at game time. I mean, this is perfect summertime baseball weather. Humidity is gone, should help Doc. Good, you see, he rushed himself a little bit the last game also. He is beginning to use that little kick step with his left foot to start his motion. And he tends to get out in front of himself a little bit. Left field, Pose is right there. He'll put it away. Spezio is retired, one down.
Well, that's what you're talking about, that little rush move. You're a little better than I described.
Yeah, you see that left foot? It's like starting a little dance step, and it kind of gets the body in motion, but sometimes the body gets so far out in front of the arm, and Doc will have a tendency to leave a lot of pitches high and away to left-hand hitters till it gets the rhythm of it. Here's the veteran Dave Magadan. That's on the corner for a strike. Our umpiring crew, Jim Joyce, John Hirschbeck is back in action tonight in this last night's game. When he was a little under the weather, he's at first base. That's a little high for a ball, and then Bill Miller replacing Jim McKeon. McKeon's going to be out for a while with some arthroscopic knee surgery. Ted Hendry is at third base, and for the most part, this is a pitcher's umpiring crew. They will, for the most part, call the borderline pitches strikes. That was not borderline, it was 2-1.
Jim Joyce is also a very entertaining umpire behind the plate if you like a loud strike call. I didn't like it when I was hitting, but certainly watching the game, he lets you know what is a ball and what is a strike.
And the Dutch Rennert of the American League. Dutch Rennert, the longtime National League umpire who is now retired, probably had the loudest strike call.
You want to go back years ago, there was an umpire in the National League, Al Bartlett.
Sure.
Oh, he was really loud.
Hall of Famer. That's low, and Magadan, who faced his former teammate David Cohn last night, and now facing Doc Gooden. All of them, of course, with the Mets at one time. He draws a one-out walk. Well, we mentioned, Kenny, tonight there will probably be a lot of action as we close in on the trading deadline. And two major trades already tonight. Former Yankee Jim Leyritz was traded to the Texas Rangers for Ken Hill and a player to be named later. Angels want to shore up their starting rotation. They got a good right-hander and Ken Hill. That pitch to Matt Stairs on the edge for a strike. And then the Orioles, Harold Baines gets to go back home.
Well, he's from St. Michael's, Maryland, just across the Bay Bridge, and I think that Harold enjoyed his years in Baltimore. He was there the first time, and I wonder what the Orioles are going to do with Harold Baines and Geronimo Baroa. I mean, Harold can't play the outfield. Baroa, well, a lot of people would say that about him, too.
Sounds like a platoon situation to me. Soho gets the lead runner, and Jeter's return throw is not in time. Boy, they almost turned what would have been a difficult double play. Jeter got a little contact down there at second from Magadan.
Well, this ball's almost through into the hole, and Soho has to make a decision. He makes a decision to go for the lead runner. He knows he wants to get one. A lot of pressure on Jeter. Couldn't get much on the throw, and that's the only reason why the Yankees don't turn a spectacular double play. Anytime a double play is that wide and turning, it makes it difficult to get the second runner. Watch Magadan. Doesn't usually get down, but because the throw came from so far away, he was able to get down and put some pressure on Jeter.
You see Derek Wentz, I think he caught that batting helmet on his shin. McGuire hits the first pitch out into left center field for a base hit. First pitch hitting, and the home run drought continues. 35 at-bats now without a long ball, but McGuire does get a 2-out single.
Well, Tarkman's inside, and he was somewhat jammed. Didn't have the good sound coming off the bat, but he gets the job done with a base hit, keeps the inning going.
And keeps the inning going for that man, Jose Canseco. 21 home runs and 66 RBIs, his season numbers. He has struck out 116 times. Only Melvin Nieves of the Detroit Tigers has a higher total. He leads the league with 126. And the breaking ball misses for a ball.
And Canseco had a stretch this year where he struck out 8 times in a row, which tied a major league record. And he immediately went out and had his eyes examined. He said maybe he's going blind from watching tape of himself at the plate.
Well, that's typical. You know, a hitter would never want to admit that maybe his stroke was, it's got to be my eyes. There's nothing wrong with my swing. You see him very, very close to the plate. That breaking ball high for a ball. And again, with Doc's motion, he mentioned how he has developed a little quicker motion to the plate from the set position, which has helped his pickoff move. But again, he'll tend to rush himself just a little. There's the Canseco batting stance. Very close with that back foot and wide open. Right center field, O'Neill will not get that one. It's going up the gap. McGuire is being held at third base by third base coach Ron Washington. So Canseco's double drives in Matt Stairs, and it's 1-0 Oakland.
That shows you how much the importance of Magadan sliding into Jeter at second and putting some pressure on him. That kept the inning going. And anytime Canseco or McGuire or just about any hitter in the major leagues gets a 2-0 count, boy, they're looking for something they can turn on, and he drives it to the gap in right center field, and the A's have taken the lead 1-0.
67th RBI of the year for Canseco. Matt Stairs scoring that Oakland run, and now another power hitter in the Oakland lineup, Jason Giambi. Breaking ball in for a strike. 12 home runs, 50 RBIs. I would think Joe Girardi and Doc Gooden will pitch a little cautiously to Giambi. Scott Brosius on deck is not having a good year. First base is open.
I think one thing that has set up this inning for the A's, Doc hasn't been able to get his curveball over.
The edge 1-1. Yeah, and as a hitter, I'm sure that's something. Of course, you let off 1 year, other years you hit down in the lineup, but you immediately look out there and say, if this guy can't get his breaking ball over, you can go up there and he's sitting on that dead red.
And so was Canseco, 2 balls and no strikes.
Fastball in on the hands, and Gooden's ahead of Giambi 1-2. McGuire got a single. He's at third, and his Bash brother Canseco doubled. He's at second. And those are the guys responsible for more hitters going to the weight room.
There's some muscle on the bases
than anybody else. Not hit well since early July. curveball. Got ahead in the count, made his curveball work for him, so the A's strand a pair. Doc Gooden gives up a first inning run. We head to the bottom of the first with the Yankees coming to bat, trailing by a run.
You remember the unrelenting disabled list? Down 6 in Game 4. Maybe you began to question if they had anything left, but watched in awe as they ran on legs that screamed for mercy. The surgery, dropping the first 2. Funny how obstacles disappear when seen through the eyes of fans who believe. The world learned that adversity is nothing compared to the power of pride. It's why we are who we are. We're your world champions.
Carlos Reyes, who was in camp with the New York Yankees in spring training, makes his 4th start of the year for Oakland, and he'll face Derek Jeter. And the first pitch high for a ball. You see his numbers overall, 26 games. He got called up early in the year and pitched out of the bullpen until recently. And Jeter gets tired of these pitchers trying to come inside on him, turns on that one for a leadoff single. Only Kenny Lofton has a better leadoff batting average than Derek Jeter. There's the rest of the Yankee lineup, courtesy of McDonald's. Luis Sojo's in the lineup tonight, batting second. Then Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez, Ivan Cruz is the DH. Wade Boggs batting sixth. And that bottom third we highlighted in our open, Chad Curtis, Joe Girardi, and Scott Pose.
Defensively for the A's, Giambi, Young, and Canseco in the outfield. Magadan, Brosius, Spezio, McGuire, and May. And Carlos Reyes on the mound. Scott Brosius last night was in right field. Tonight he's playing shortstop. He might be the best third baseman in the league.
Yep, that's what a lot of the Oakland people feel. But because of injuries, they have had to move him around, and he is so versatile. He can play a lot of positions. Sojo drew the leadoff walk last night in the 9th inning and scored the winning run. Shows Buck takes high for a ball. Batting average over 300 for a long time, but Luis now 3 for his last 20.
Very adept at handling the bat. With Jeter's speed on first, there's an opportunity for the Yankees to try and get something going here in the first inning.
And there's that handling the bat. One hop single out to right field. Jeter will make the turn and stop at second. And the Yankees in a position to answer the Oakland first with a run or two of their own.
Well, the A's have been outscored by plenty in the first inning. Their opponents have scored 79 runs in the first, and with their run tonight in the first inning, Oakland has scored 49. Sojo with the base hit, picking out a pitch he can hit the other way, just drops it in front of Canseco in right. So Carlos Reyes, a couple men on, he's in a little bit of trouble here in the first inning.
Yeah, players respect anybody that's got a big league uniform on because they say, hey, he's here. He must have done something right, but when the Yankee lineup looks at Carlos Reyes and says, here's a guy we got to take advantage of. He has never been an effective starter. He's never beaten the Yankees. And he gives up, you mentioned, a lot of long balls. That pitch high to O'Neill for a ball.
10 home runs and 56 in the third innings for Reyes this year. And the reason being, he's not overpowering, and he has to hit his spots to be effective.
Art Howe and his pitching coach Bob Cluck looking on. Low, and it's 2-0. Gets away from Brent Maine, not far enough for the runners to advance. Mentioned Reyes was in spring training with the Yankees. Sometimes, you know, money isn't the only thing. He got a little better contract with the Yankees than Oakland had offered him. So he decided to go to spring training with the world champs. There wasn't any room for him on the Yankee pitching staff, so he got released out of spring training. Fouled out of play, 2-1, and he had to go back to Oakland, a team that was willing to offer him, a modest salary and take a lot less money and go back to the minor leagues and make the club again. So not a good decision by Reyes to go to camp with the Yankees, and he's back in the starting rotation. He was the A's opening day starter last year. Tino waiting on deck.
And even last year, he was sent out to the bullpen to work.
Runners on the go, and O'Neill fouls that. I say runners. Jeter got a sign. Soho didn't. Somebody missed it. Jose Cardinal. That would lead you to believe that Soho missed the sign.
Well, I think the Yankees can expect to make a lot of contact tonight over Carlos Reyes. He is not a strikeout pitcher. So Soho was left waiting at the station while Jeter was off with the train.
2-2 to O'Neill. As you see the Oakland alignment.
O'Neill, 4-15 with runners in scoring position.
And he's got one there right now. Down the left field line, slicing just foul. There's the scouting report on Carlos Reyes. You love to hit off long men, didn't you? Those guys that weren't quite good enough to start. Without all the injuries, Reyes would not be starting. Relies on the changeup. Not an overpowering fastball, as Kenny mentioned. He has given up a lot of home runs per inning. 3-2.
They got to figure that if they were willing to start Jeter earlier in this at-bat, they're willing to start him now.
I would think so.
But Soho fouls him this time.
He's looking at Jose Cardinal, making sure he gets the sign right this time.
You know, at times, over the years, I've heard stories about players who missed a lot of signs, and some third base coaches decide for them to go, just point to the next base. Go ahead. That was the sign.
A lot of managers have meetings and say, do I need to use flashcards? Are you guys finally going to get them? They're off. And O'Neill hits it well to straightaway center. It's deep. Young is looking up, and there's that long ball. It's gone. 3-1 Yankees. O'Neill's 15th of the year.
Outscored 82-49 in the first inning. That really puts you in a hole. He got good wood on it. Wasn't his best swing, and this ball goes over 410 feet straight away center field. Wasn't his best swing. There's another guy's been in the weight room.
Yeah, Carlos Reyes saying, wow, that's not his best swing. Here's a guy who might put his best swing on it, Tino Martinez. He gets an off-speed pitch, strike one.
424 feet is the announcement. And look.
Yeah.
Wow, off balance. That pocket's out again. That's the power pocket.
Yeah, it's not empty. Got a lot of cash in there. 424 feet with a one-arm swing off his front foot. Some of his teammates kind of chuckling about it in the dugout. Ball and a strike to Tino. Another off-speed pitch. Got a little out in front of this, down in the corner. Canseco appears to have room, and he'll put it away. That is the first out of the inning.
Tino's thinking, I want this guy to stay in the game.
That's right. Yeah. Again, it's no disrespect to Carlos Reyes, but you just know, without all the injuries to Ariel Prieto and Willie Adams down in the minor leagues, Steve Wojciechowski, Mike Oquist, former Met Dave Tailgater, that was supposed to be the Oakland starting rotation. Reyes belongs down the bullpen, but because of the injuries, he starts. Here's Ivan Cruz. That's in for a strike. And this should be a good matchup for Cruz if he wants to go long ball. He's got plenty of power, and the swing is kind of long. Oops. But he'll swing at just about anything. And it's 0-2.
Now, if he can hold off the next two pitches, if I'm Reyes, I'm not going to throw him a strike.
Might wind up and hold it.
And he'll swing.
That one's up and in, 1-2. Dirt. Again, like you said, he's not going to throw him a strike, feeling that Cruz will chase a pitch. 28-year-old right-hander. He's originally drafted by the Braves. Oakland got him in that Rule 5. Picked him up as a minor leaguer. Good discipline there as Cruz stayed back on the changeup. Boggs waiting on deck. Playing third base tonight. If you missed it, Charlie Hayes fouled the ball off his instep last night. Did hit a home run on the next pitch, but not able to move around well today. Now the count is full.
Remember, they started out 0-2 and tried to make him chase the 2-2. I think after that 2-2 pitch, you got to throw a strike. But he didn't do it. Now the count is full. So they swung back towards Cruz a little bit here.
And he rips it down the right field line. Might be his first extra base hit of his major league career. It is. It's going to be a stand-up double.
See, that's why you got to make the 2-2 pitch the pitch of decision. If you're going to try and make them chase, and the hitter doesn't swing at the 2 like Cruz didn't, you go to 3-2, and you have to throw him a strike. And he was ready. Look at that front leg. Kind of reminds you of Sadaharu Oh.
Yeah.
That high leg kick. Of course, hit over 800 home runs over Japan. But here's a rocket to the corner. You know, would have taken that.
He's got a little bit of an uppercut. A little uppercut to that swing.
And like Paul O'Neill, that back foot off the ground. Nice follow through.
So out of 5 hitters, 2 singles, home run, and a double. And here's Boggs. In for a strike. Boggs' average really has picked up lately. He's 8 for 20 on the homestand. Mentioned in the Open, the Yankees this week, they'll complete 18 of 24 game stretch where they play at home. On the edge, 0-2. There's a couple of Yankees that have been hot in the last 10 days. Of course, Harold Baines now takes that average to Baltimore. Traded back to the Orioles tonight. Off the edge, 1-2. The trade note on the Rangers getting ex-Yankee Jim Leyritz for Tim Hill leads you to believe that the Rangers don't feel they'll be able to assign Pudge Rodriguez next year. He becomes a free agent. Popped up left field. Giambi and Young converge, and Giambi makes the grab. 2 down.
Well, if they use all the money to sign Rodriguez, they won't be able to put 9 guys out on the field. And there are some other free agents that they have to try and sign in Texas. It's a signal to Rodriguez that his days are numbered.
Boy, that's an awfully valuable player to let get away. But everybody's got a budget. The Yankees, fortunate they had room in their budget for this guy, Chad Curtis. What a find he has been with Bernie Williams. Bernie working out every day is closer and closer to getting ready. Curtis fouls that into the Oakland dugout, strike 1.
I think what Curtis has done during this stretch with Bernie out, he's probably earned himself some playing time in left field when Bernie comes back. You mentioned you need a defender out in left field who can cover a lot of ground along with your center fielder here at Yankee Stadium. And we've seen Curtis make some good catches in center, so he must be able to play left field.
Outside, 1-1. You had to have that center field speed. We saw last night what it did for Scott Pose. With that speed out there, he's able to make a nice running catch, turn it into a double play. And the chain of events that will unfold here in the next week to 10 days when Bernie Williams and Tim Raines, Yankees hope would get active. That's in for a strike, 1-2. Duncan traded, Incaviglia added. If Bernie Williams is activated this weekend, the logical move would be Mark Whiten. I mean, Mark got a game-winning hit last night, but the Yankees hesitant to use it. And then when Raines is active, it would be either Yvonne Cruz or Scott Pose that would probably be moved. That's inside, and it's 2-2. And again, you mentioned Chad Curtis getting a lot of playing time in left field, and Raines would probably get some playing time there as a left-hand hitter if his hamstring is okay.
There's always a DH role.
Yeah.
If Raines cannot go full time in the outfield,
which he did a little of last year. Chad Curtis stays alive. Tim is in the ballpark. Walked in with him today, and Maine took it off the shin. He's going to walk that off. I said that you must have a lot of bleeding in that hamstring. This is what catchers go through.
Let's see. This should be interesting. Oh, man. Right off the kneecap.
Yeah, there's a little space between those shin guards where you can feel the brunt of that blow on the knee. You know, Raines said it's not the bleeding. He said with all the traveling around he's done, playing different minor league teams, spending a lot of times in airplanes, he said you get off a plane at 4 o'clock, you end up playing at 7 o'clock that night, your leg's still kind of stiff. I think he'd like to be in one place, maybe right here and rehab it at the stadium like Bernie Williams is. Got him. Inside breaking ball. Curtis knew it. Yankees are down in the first, but they send 7 men to the plate, and Paul O'Neill's 3-run homer powers the Yankees to a 3-1 lead at the end of 1.
Jamie Foxx gets his day in court.
Liar. What? Your mama?
Lucky for him, the star witness is his best friend.
He's the most obnoxious, lazy bonehead I've ever encountered.
Was his best friend. The Wayans aren't afraid of anyone. Well, except this guy.
I heard he's been on cops so many times, he's up for an inmate.
So who's gonna save him?
If I was 20 years younger,
You still get your behind kicked.
The Wayans after Jamie Foxx. Tomorrow, starting at 9 on the WB11.
Doc Gooden has a 3-1 lead as he takes the mound in the top of the second. I want to remind you of our upcoming games. Take a look at our Delta Airlines schedule. Tomorrow, matinee affair, 12:30 time for our AT&T scorecard show on MSG, and then the weekend series with the Twins as Brocious takes strike one. WB11 on Friday, back on MSG on Saturday. That's a 4 o'clock start. And then WB11 again Sunday afternoon, the last game of the homestand. Boy, Scott Brocious, when you see that batting average just above 200, you say, what in the world happened to Scott Brocious of last year?
Well, his average was about 100 points higher last season. He was hitting over 300 a year ago.
Yeah. That's pulled toward third base where Fox makes the pick and the throw. There's one down in the Oakland second.
I had a slight theory about that, moving all around, playing different positions where, you know, sometimes even though you play a lot of positions, you might feel comfortable at one.
Yeah.
And you have a tendency to take your defense out to the field with you, and particularly take your hitting out there as well.
I think so. That's Denny Walling, the hitting coach, and I did ask him, you know, about Scott Brocious' year. And they'll admit, if he's at third base, this is Ernie Young who takes ball one. He had a big night last night, doubling a home run against David Cone. But Walling says from a pure hitting standpoint, Brocious has given up the outer 2/3 of the plate. He's not using the whole field anymore. You saw that at bat. He pulled the ground ball to Wade Boggs. And usually when guys hit 300, they use the whole field. 1-1 to Young. But I think if there's a team looking for a third baseman, and you see Scott Brocious' year, there's your guy. I mean, he can play third base as well as anybody in the American League. He's versatile. You get into an emergency, he can play in the outfield, or tonight, for example, he's playing shortstop. Hit 21 home runs last year. He could produce runs.
And when you're a general manager looking for a player to fill a certain position,
out of the reach of Boggs, and Young has a one-out single.
His value is down this year because he's only hitting 200.
Of course, rotisserie baseball is so popular these days, and there's the kind of guy next year when your draft comes up, you know, the rotisserie players this year are disappointed in him, but he'd be a steal for next year if you get him at a cheap price.
Comeback rotisserie player of the year.
You know. Brent Maine, and he mentioned last night, played some Major League ball for the Mets, and he's now resurfaced with the Oakland Athletics. They've had some injuries to their catching core. George Williams on the DL. On the edge, strike one.
The A's have a catching prospect in the minor leagues. Ramon Hernandez was an all-star in the California League. And he's going to be moved up to Double-A pretty soon. I think it's in Huntsville, if I'm not mistaken.
That's their Double-A team.
So there's help on the way, but all these catchers have been injured.
Yeah, it's been a long year, Art. Art Howe, we mentioned last night, the Oakland Athletics, their relievers have more wins than their starters. That's how ineffective their starting pitching has been. And the only team in history that's ever come close to having that happen, the Astros in 1992, their starters won a few more games than the relievers. And guess who managed that team? Art Howe was managing the Astros that year. Left field hit well. Pose makes the running catch. There's that center field speed coming in handy in Yankee Stadium. Would have been an extra base hit down in the corner.
There's no substitute for being able to run fast. I can tell you that from experience. Scott Pose making the play, one that I wouldn't have made.
Everything you knock into. Well, it's an old baseball cliche, but it's true. Speed never slumps. It's always there, unless you got a pulled hamstring.
Yeah.
And the lineup turns over. Here's the switch-hitting rookie, Scott Spiezio. Keeping Young close. There were 5 rookies that started their club's opening game, Spiezio being one of them. And there's only 2 others left in the big leagues. Davy Cruz for the Tigers, and of course Nomar Garciaparra. Rest of them back in the minor leagues, like Todd Walker and Bubba Trammell and Rudy Pemberton, all back in the minors. But Spiezio has hung in there. Scott Rowland in the National League is on his way to that award, I guess.
And I think Garciaparra in this league, they're the only 2 rookies in the major leagues who have started more games than Scott Spiezio.
Outside, 1 and 0 to Spiezio.
And Garciaparra is going to be some sort of player. And I know that Yankee fans haven't had a chance to see much of Scott Rowland, but the Yankees will play the Phillies later on this year in Philadelphia, and that'll be a chance to see a young man about 6'4", 210 pounds. He's the best hitter they have. The Phillies, the best base runner, and might be the best fielder.
Of course, the greatest third baseman, voted greatest third baseman of all time, Mike Schmidt. That's when Rowland came up. They said this is going to be the best player we've had there since Mike Schmidt.
I was in Philadelphia a couple of weekends ago, and the headlines in the paper was Mike Who.
Yeah.
I'm sure Schmidt wouldn't appreciate that.
Sounds like Philly. Hit on the hand, skied to left field. Pose is there. And he puts it away. So Doc Gooden pitches around the 1-out single by Ernie Young. The Yankees coming to bat in the bottom of the second, and they lead this one 3-1. 3-1 Yankees, as Joe Girardi leads off the second and takes high for a ball. RBI single in last night's game for Joe.
That's where Reyes has to keep that fastball down and away or spotted on the inside when the hitters start to lean a little bit. Can't get it up, can't get it towards the middle of the plate.
In on the hands, out of the reach of Magadan, off his glove and into left field, and Girardi makes a big turn, but will hold at first with a leadoff single in the Yankees' second.
No, with Magadan and Brocious over there, 2 third basemen on the left side. Magadan, that old third of 2 steps and a dive. You know, you put that mattress out there about 2 steps. Although Brooks Robinson somehow came up with all of them, threw people out at first base. Off the end of the glove of Magadan and on into left field for a hit.
There's one of those cases where Magadan can't really play any place else. If Scott Brocious is there, he catches that. He makes that play. All the injuries the Athletics have had, they've had to move Brocious around. Here's Pose. And he takes strike one. Now you notice he's not trying to bunt. Situation came up last night. 2 on, nobody out. He would have been the hitter. Yankees had the lead. It would have made sense to keep him in the game. Talking to Joe Torre and Don Zimmer today, said Scott has had 4 opportunities to bunt, and he has not been able to do it. So they pinch hit for him with Soho, a guy who can handle a bat. And if you're Scott Pose and you want to stay in the big leagues, that's something you better learn to do.
He was out here today working on his bunting early. And if you're a marginal player and you don't have much power, you're going to be called upon to hit and run and bunt, and you're going to have to move the runner along, or else you're going to sit or be pinch hit for.
Bunt it there. See if it works. Yeah, might get a hit. He does. Practice pays off.
Well, out this afternoon, he was working on the sacrifice more than the bunt single type of hit, and he picks it up right here. Good speed down the line, legs it out for a hit. The worst that would have happened, Girardi would have been at second with 1 out. Magadan charges, the underhand throw, Pose too much speed. Like the way he broke it down at the end there.
That had Brett Butler written all over it, didn't it? Just like a Brett Butler. Smiles in the Yankee dugout. They're off to a good start against Carlos Reyes. Jeter with a leadoff single got them started in the first. And now 2 out, or 2 on rather, nobody out for Derek. He shows bunt, takes ball 1. If you followed Yankee games recently, we talked about how American League teams, obviously they're all American League teams, keep pounding the ball in on Derek Jeter. And I said to Chris Chambliss, any thought of changing his approach? He said, I want to keep him from diving into the ball and jamming himself. And Derek's first at-bat, he was able to turn and pull that pitch. Girardi back in time.
Give Brocious some credit. You know, sometimes when you're at a new position or haven't played one very often, you won't call many pickoff plays, and Brocious not wavering. He went right for it.
Yeah, he's pretty agile wherever you play him. 2-0 to Jeter. Boy, you got to be licking your chops right now if you're Derek Jeter. You have a pitcher on the mound who has proven he cannot throw the fastball by you. It's a hitting count, 2-0. You draw that little bitty rectangular box right where you want it, and you've always said, get a pitch you can drive.
Big hole on the left side with Brocious trying to hold Girardi.
Wasn't there, and it's 3-0.
You see all the room in here. If they're going to throw him that inside fastball, you know, they're going against their own defensive posture. The count is 3-0. He'll be taking this one.
Jeter draws a 4-pitch walk, and the Yankees in a chance to really blow this game open as Duffy Dyer goes to the telephone and gets that much-used Oakland bullpen ready. There's a look at the Yankees' run scoring in the last week.
I think the big column is the runner in scoring position column right there. 2 for 12, 2 for 10, 3 for 8, 1 for 8, only 2-11. The runners in scoring position, and hitters are going to have to step up, get the job done. Outside of Saturday when they hit 3 home runs, Yankees need to get it going. And even with the 3 home runs, they lost that ball game to Seattle.
Well, if tonight's game is any indication, it'll turn around. Paul O'Neill, their best hitter, the league's best hitter with runners in scoring position, delivered tonight. And he waits on deck as Bob Cluck, the pitching coach, buys a little time to get the Oakland bullpen ready.
Now, I always thought when a walk And how's the next hitter with the bases loaded come up? That first pitch is going to be the action pitch. I always thought that.
Should be a fastball and hittable. But it isn't. It's a breaking ball, and it's a ball.
Well, that shows me a pitcher doesn't trust his fastball.
And the A's know that. They know that Ray is better suited for the bullpen. They just don't have any quality starters. Tim Kubinski, the left-hander, getting ready. Foul out of play, 1-1.
Well, Soho does get his fastball, but he's a little late. Yep.
In the hole to right field. That's a typical Soho hit. That's going to score 2. Jeter hustling to third, and the Yankees have runners at the corners. Nobody out. And they lead it 5-1.
Well, Soho got another chance at a fastball. And as he did in the first inning, gets a base hit to right field. Target is inside, pitches in the middle of the plate. Kind of slashes at it, pushes it away from him. Ball slows up, and the merry-go-round is rolling as Canseco comes up with the ball. Jeter, with his speed, makes it to third easily. And 2 runs and scored for the Yankees. Wow.
Now, Scott Pose had a hand in that with a bunt single. It's 5-1 Yankees, and Carlos Reyes' night is a short one here at Yankee Stadium. He pitches 1 inning and faces 4 men here in the second before he leaves. We'll be back at the stadium and introduce the new Oakland pitcher, Tim Kubinski, when we come back. Yankees leading 5-1. Still nobody out in the Yankees second. And a reminder, sports fans, to be sure you're catching all the action, check out the WB11's website. Visit www.wb11.com for your complete WB11 Yankees broadcast schedule. That is Tim Kubinski. And his numbers, 3 games. Called up from the minor leagues. He was at Edmonton, their AAA affiliate.
Worked exclusively in relief in the minors.
And the challenge here for him is Paul O'Neill. Off-speed pitch, fouled at the plate, strike 1.
First inning, Paul O'Neill got the Yankees rolling. The Yankees are down 1-0 until this swing. With 2 men aboard, turns the game around. It's 3-1 Yankees, a 424-foot blast to straightaway center field.
And like you said, he didn't even have his best swing. He was falling away with his back foot. Soho being kept close. Jeter at third. He's perfect on the night with a hit and a walk. Only Nomar Garciaparra has more at-bats than Derek Jeter in the American League. A little off the edge, 1-1. Kubinski is 25 years old. Played college baseball at UCLA. A's drafted him 4 years ago in the amateur draft. That's a good fastball on the outside edge. 1-2 to O'Neill. Always, I think, a pitcher's advantage. Can even a rookie against a good hitter like Paul O'Neill, the first time you face him, you don't know his pattern, you don't know what he throws.
The A's have, particularly this year, made a habit out of picking pitchers in the amateur draft. First 10 selections, including the sandwich rounds, 9 pitchers picked.
O'Neill reaches, lofts it to left field. Should be deep enough to score Jeter. Giambi's throw will go into second base. It is 6-1 Yankees as Paul O'Neill picks up his 4th RBI of the night. He now has 80 on the year. That run charge to Carlos Reyes.
Derek Jeter scoring his 73rd and 74th runs of the year, which leads the Yankees. And O'Neill, once again, a kind of an off-balance swing, but getting good wood on it. And Giambi not even going to challenge the speed of Jeter.
Well, that's just the first out of the inning. And now Tino Martinez will step in. Wow. That got Tino Martinez down in the knee area. Joe Torre and Gene Monahan sprinted out of that Yankee dugout. Of course, Doc Gooden taking him out, but you'd have to understand in Tim Kabinski's place, an inexperienced left-hander. He's not trying to hit Tino Martinez. He doesn't have too good a command of his pitches.
Well, here's a look at it again. The target is low and inside. He gets it low, but way too far inside. I think that's always the key. When you're looking at somebody's trying to hit somebody on purpose, the target could be way outside and it hits the hitter. That's more of an indication that pitch with a purpose.
Yeah, I think that pitch right there was in the pregame meeting. They said, you can't leave the ball out over the plate to this guy. He's got 35 home runs, and Kabinski's saying, I want to make sure I get it in there. Ivan Cruz now with his first at-bat against Kabinski. Got his first Major League extra base hit against Reyes. That's a breaking ball. This is ball one. We're talking about Tim Raines going down to the minor leagues and rehabbing, and the question whether Bernie Williams would go down there. That's why, as a Major League player, I wouldn't particularly care to go down there. Got under it. Canseco is there. Soho tagging at second, and he's going to go ahead and go to third. He'll make it easily. Now runners at the corners for the Yankees. You know, you look at inexperienced pitchers like Oakland has, you go down to the minor leagues, you see guys that don't have pinpoint control, and it's kind of a no-win situation.
Yeah, there's a whole staff of them down there.
Right.
And I think, well, of course, again, the conditions aren't as good, the lights aren't as good in the minor leagues, and I think one thing it does for players who go down there, major leaguers, they appreciate the big leagues when they get back.
Right. And the fans get a chance to see him. It has a bit of an upside, but from a pure rehab standpoint, guys playing simulated games here in the major leagues makes more sense. Runners at the corners for Boggs. We had two down. That's low for a ball. Average up to 278. Soho at third and Tino Martinez at first. That's up and in, 2-0. Boggs averaged last year 3. He's shaking his head. He doesn't know where to look for the ball. Hit .311 last year. For the 14th time he batted .300. Only 6 other players have done it more than that. They're all in the Hall of Fame. That's an off-speed pitch. Boggs said, what? He can't get his fastball over, and he paints a knee-high outside corner strike with a changeup. But that's all part of the growing process for Tim Kabinski, getting a chance to pitch here with a team that's not going anywhere. Right field. Is it deep enough? Canseco is there on the track, and he'll have room. Got the crowd on their feet for an instant, but Tim Kabinski pitches out of the second inning for the Oakland A's. The Yankees put another 3 spot on the board, and after 2 they lead it 6-1.
Welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
There's no place like the Garden, and the best way to see it is with an exciting behind-the-scenes tour. Explore the inner workings of the famed 20,000-seat arena and the theater, New York's premier entertainment showplace. Visit the Knicks and Rangers locker rooms. From the luxury suites to the play-by-play restaurant, there's nothing like it in New York. The Madison Square Garden behind-the-scenes tour. Call 465-5800.
6-1. Yankees are on their way to making this a laugher. one more game left in this series. The A's will be here tomorrow afternoon at the stadium. A business person special starting at 1:05. Our AT&T scorecard show at 12:30. Tickets available for that game at the Yankee Stadium ticket window. That's in for a strike, and unless he's traded tonight, it might be your last chance to see Mark McGwire in an Oakland uniform. There's been a couple of big deals already tonight. We mentioned Magadan takes strike one. That's on the edge. 0-2. Good start for Doc Gooden. With this kind of a game and a big lead, if you just shut the A's down the next inning or two, they're going to lose interest and you're going to have a very easy game. You'll see some quick outs. So these next couple innings are always key for a starting pitcher to shut the opposition down for the big lead. Just missed that one. 1-2.
You know, you got to be disheartened when that pitch isn't called a strike. It's below the catcher's mask. Joe Girardi catches this pitch below his mask, and it's not called a strike. Yeah, below the belt of Magadan.
Tough to get any kind of a strike called at the belt buckle or higher. And still within the legal limits of the strike zone, according to the rule book.
Oh, you got to swing at that, too.
Again high, and the count has gone full. Matt Stairs next, and then Mark McGwire follows him. So some potential power coming up for the A's. Up the middle, Soho can't reach it, and Magadan will have a leadoff single in the Oakland third.
See, that hit was dictated by that one pitch. But give Magadan credit. He took it, got the count to 3-2, got something right in the middle of the plate, and hit it right back where it came from, back through the middle into center field for a base hit.
A couple of homeboys talking at first base, both from Tampa, Florida. Dave Magadan and Tino Martinez as Matt Stairs steps in.
Tampa's produced a lot of major league players, including Doc Gooden.
Minnesota Twins will be in town this weekend. The hottest pitcher in the American League, Brad Radke, also a product of Tampa. That curveball misses for a ball.
Crime dog.
Fred McGriff, Harry Sheffield, Wade Boggs. Pitch misses, and it's 2-0, and Doc Gooden now will have to face that man if he can't retire Matt Stairs, and that would give Oakland a chance to get back into the ball game. Had a chance to talk to Mark before the game tonight. On the hands, fouled out of play about, all the talk of him being traded and weighing on his mind. Of course, he's a 10-5 man. He has 10 years in the major leagues and 5 with the same ball club. He's got them all with the same ball club. And if you're in that category, you have a right to turn a trade down. But I think Mark would just like to get this over with, go someplace and play baseball for a team that has a chance to win the last couple of months, as he did last night in the on-deck circle measuring David Cone. He's doing the same to Doc Gooden. Left field. Poses there. He's had a lot of action tonight. That's his third put out of the night, one down in the Oakland third. Well, we asked Mark McGwire if he's frustrated by all this trade talk that's been swirling around all year.
It's getting to the point where it's irritating. If it's going to happen, let's get it done with. The cat and mouse game. If you can get one extra player or whatever, it's sort of getting bothersome. I just want to play baseball. Tired of answering questions about are you going to be traded, what teams want you, it's just, I'm here to play baseball, and I want to go out there and play hard, and that's about it.
And he does that. That's in for a strike to Mark McGwire. Of course, one of the teams rumored to be in the running to get his services, the St. Louis Cardinals, where he would play for his longtime manager, Tony La Russa. He does not want to be a DH, which would rule him out coming to the Yankees. 0-2.
So the Cardinals have been looking for something to jumpstart their offense all season long. And one of the reasons they aren't contending even harder in the National League Central Because a player like Ron Gantz having an off year. Ray Langford is about the only one who's really doing what he should be. Delino DeShields is having a good year at second base, but he's not a power guy.
Just off the edge, 1 and 2. Doc looking into Jim Joyce. That's typical. You talk to pitchers and catchers, and they'll say, you'll get strike 1 and strike 2. And you see Girardi was seated, squatted outside the strike zone just a touch. It's a little tougher to get that close pitch on strike 3.
On certain hitters.
Yeah. That one's up and in, 2 and 2.
And people did not come out of the ballpark to see Mark McGwire strike out.
Another power hitter waiting on deck. He's got the only RBI for the Athletics. Jose Canseco. Got him. He got the call on that one. Let's take a look at the sequence of pitches that Doc Gooden used to strike out Mark McGwire.
Well, basically they're trying to keep the ball in this area away from it. There's the foul off. There's the one that Jeff missed that thought was a strike. There's a setup pitch. They go back out there, and it's called strike 3. You don't want to go out there too many times in a row, because then the hitter starts to look for it. So that one fastball that was in, it was a setup pitch to go back out there, and Gooden hit the spot that Jim Joyce wanted.
That's Doc's second strikeout of the game. He got Giambi in the first, and here's Canseco. Corner, strike 1. We have talked about the strike zone this year. Your pitching is much better this year. It's been bashed for recent years. There isn't any pitching around, but pitching is up, runs are down this year in general. And one of the reasons I think is the strike zone is that, somebody sat on it and squashed it a little bit. It's wider. That called strike to McGwire, an indication of it. You don't get the high pitch, but you get, for the most part, this crew in particular, you get, say, a ball on either side of the zone. Sitting and watching and wondering what team he'll be with by the end of the week. 1 and 1.
I enjoyed 10 and 5 status during my career, and it's quite a satisfying feeling when you've reached that status, that you know that you call the shots. They have to come to you and ask you, is it okay if we deal you somewhere?
Yeah. Mark McGwire has that veto power. Curveball way outside, 2 and 1. And of course, not just 10 and 5, but he has been every game of his career with the Oakland Athletics. And there are not many active players in the major leagues that can make that statement. In fact, there's only 5 others that have played more games than Mark McGwire with 1 ball club. Popped up foul outside of first. That'll reach the seats. Of course, the leader in that category, no big surprise. There's your list. Cal Ripken at the top. Ozzie Guillen, Rookie of the Year with the White Sox. He's still there. Mark Grace with the Cubbies. And then in 6th spot, Mark McGwire.
One thing all of those players have in common, not only have they been good ball players, they've been good in the community as well. Just about every single one of them.
Now you can imagine the memories for Mark McGwire from those great championship teams in the late 80s and early 90s, and to see what's become of this organization now. Grounded foul into the Oakland dugout, and it's 2 and 2 to Canseco. Back in Oakland is Canseco after, of course, McGwire, and Canseco helped lead this team to the World Series victory in 1989. Way outside, and the count is full.
Well, it seems as though they've tried to keep the ball away from McGwire and in on Canseco.
Yeah, which is not a bad philosophy. Mark McGwire, when he came up as a rookie, hit so many of those 49 home runs on first pitch fastballs on the inside half. So they keep it away from him. It's way inside. And again, Doc with that faster paced motion, just having a little trouble getting the rhythm of it. And you can see his control is suffering. That's his second walk of the game, and now 2 out for Jason Giambi.
You keep tempting fate when you start to walk some people. That's happened to Gooden in the past, his last few starts. Because eventually you're going to come in with one that's much too big.
That's in for a strike. Tom Kelly, the Minnesota Twins manager, who will be in this weekend with the Twins, used to call it the separation. You're waiting during the season for the separation to happen between the contending teams and the teams in the second division, where they realize, like Oakland, they have no chance of winning the pennant. So there's a separation from that standpoint. That's way inside. It's 1-1. And then within the game, the same thing. See, when you're that far down in the standings and you're down 6-1, you're trying, but yet when it gets to be the 5th inning, the intensity's not there. You get a lot of easy outs.
It's still a little too early in this game for that, but you're right. One of the keys when you're on good ball clubs and you're playing teams that are out of it, get ahead in the game early. Take that lead.
Good fastball. Giambi fouls it out of play, 1-2.
Don't give the opposition, which is having a bad year, any incentive to spoil your evening.
You know, and that's particularly true is in September, when these teams that are out of it, Magadan got a single, Canseco drew the walk, they're the runners with 2 out. Come into a series that's important to you and you're playing a team that's way out of it and they want to be the spoiler. If you get ahead of them early, they say, nah, forget about it. But you stay in a close game with them, that's when they jump up and beat you. Just a little high, 2-2. Words from Joe Girardi. Like David Cone last night, he got ahead of so many hitters, 21 out of 26 first pitch strikes. Talking to Coney today, he said, yeah, I didn't have my finish off pitch. Yet he did a terrific job, 8 innings and 3 earned runs. Doc Gooden with less artillery than David Cone is going through that tonight. He's gotten 0-2, 1-2. Just can't seem to find that pitch to polish him off. Woo! Wanted that one, and again, it appeared that pitch was called for high, and the count is full.
Well, it certainly had plenty of the plate. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Just a little bit too high. It's almost as if you got to throw that pitch a little out over the plate. I mean, off the corner, you might get it.
So the runners will get a head start, full count, 2 outs. Wow. Again. Doc Gooden shows his emotions on the mound. See, Mark McGwire got rung up by a pitch. He's almost saying, where was that pitch? The one to McGwire was off the plate outside. The last 2 from Gooden were on the plate. But in today's strike zone, they were called high.
Certainly in Jim Joyce's strike zone. I think Mel Stoudemire out there. He saw the reaction of Doc. Come out and slow it down a little bit here. Let's work on this next guy. Here's what you got to do to get out of the inning. Joe Torre, a catcher in his day. And Mel Stoudemire is certainly a very successful pitcher. They know what it takes to settle people down out on the mound.
And maybe a casual word to Jim Joyce on your way back saying, well, I thought those last 2 were strikes. Zone a little small.
Well, some managers go out there and wait for that umpire to come out there.
Yeah. Take another look at it, Kenny.
Well, the previous one, I thought that was better than the first one.
It's hard to get a called strike on a breaking ball, particularly if it's about bell tie.
Why so many pitchers have gone to the slider instead of the curve.
Brocious, bases loaded, takes strike one. He's shaking his head. You can almost use the uniform. Nowadays, teams with those, you got the gray pants and the green shirt. Well, the pants is the strike zone. Anything that crosses the plate in the green, that's a ball.
Wow. He just swung at ball one.
Play 0-2. Again, Doc Gooden ahead in the count. And a key moment for him in this ball game. It's just the third inning. The Yankees have a 6-1 lead, but the A's have the bases loaded. Magadan, Canseco, and Giambi, your runners, and the pitch count now well over 60 in the third inning. One and two.
Over 60 pitches in the third inning. You would think that Doc Gooden was being hammered, but he's only given up 1 run on 4 hits.
Yeah.
And it's hard for him to throw a curveball strike. So you're almost eliminating that one pitch if you're a hitter at the plate. So he's really got to get it down.
And Brocious stays alive. Yeah, if you wanted a game when people talk American League, National League Baseball, and you hear a lot of people, American League baseball games, I mean, they're so long and so many runs. Well, tonight's a good example. It's an hour and 20 minutes. We're at the top of the third because the difference is in the National League, they will challenge you with your fastball, make you put it in play.
And if they pitch around you, they will, to get down to a certain guy in the order, either the 8th hitter or the pitcher, so they can get out of the inning. There's no pitcher in this lineup.
Checked in time. And it's 2-2. You said it before, this is the pitch you want the action on.
Now this one is definitely a little bit too high, maybe a little outside as well, so the count is 2-2. This is the pitch that you either want Brocious to put it in play or strike him out.
Grounded in the hole into left field. That's going to score 2 and make it a 6-3 ball game. Oh, those base-on balls. And then getting ahead, not being able to polish Brocious off, so Canseco and Magadan score.
Yeah, this is the difference between Doc Gooden now and Doc Gooden years ago. He could polish people off with the best of them with that very sharp hook and the fastball that had more miles per hour to it. And he could blow it by people. Doc now still has a pretty good fastball, but he has to be more towards the corners of the plate than to the middle. And that pitch was towards the middle.
Kenny Rogers, who pitched 5 innings of relief on Friday, getting ready, and the curveball to Ernie Young is in for a strike.
Ernie Young hit his 2nd home run of the year here last year. Hit a home run in his 1st at-bat of the season, struggled, was sent to the minor leagues, called back, and last night was his 2nd.
Hit well to left field. Hose is at the track, appears to have room, and he will make the grab. Anxious moment for Doc Gooden and the Yankees. He gives up a pair, retires Young on the long fly ball. We head to the bottom of the third. Yankees lead at 6-3. Creative in the stands, young man. With the Bombers, yeah, they're putting those A's to sleep. Scored 6 runs off Carlos Reyes in the first 2 innings. Tim Kavinsky took over. And he'll now face Chad Curtis to lead off the Yankee third. Off-speed pitch, misses for a ball. He joined us late. We're talking about the trading deadline, midnight Thursday night, I believe it is, July 31st. And a couple of deals tonight. Ex-Yankee Jim Leyritz went to the Texas Rangers for right-hand pitcher Kenny Hill. Harold Baines traded back to the Baltimore Orioles. But it's almost leads you to believe that the White Sox are saying, we don't think we can do it this year. That's low for a ball. Would not be surprising, Kenny, by the next 2 days to see Roberto Hernandez end up in a Seattle uniform, the White Sox closer.
My point is, how can you give up when you're only 4.5 games behind?
Yeah, I know. Off-speed pitch out in front of the plate, and Maine goes to McGuire to retire Chad Curtis, 1 down. Doc's reaction at the end of last inning, not happy with giving the A's a couple of runs to get back in the ball game.
You know, from the A's standpoint, now they have an excuse to come out and beat the Yankees. They've gotten back into it a little bit, and it's up to Kabinski to try and hold down the Yankee offense if he can. See if they can score some more runs off of Doc Gooden. But it's up to the Yankees to change the momentum in this game.
Joe Girardi hits it sharply on 1 hop to Magadan. That's 2 ground ball outs here in the Yankee third. Going back to your comment on the White Sox, when we were in there recently, even talking with some of their coaches about how things had improved, they still gave you the impression that they didn't feel real good about their ball club. Now we're not a real good team. You know, they don't play real good defense, and they don't feel good about their ball club. And you just wait for Cleveland to run off and leave that division. They got such a talented lineup. They are struggling with their starting pitching. Pose, first pitch swinging, fouls that out of play. And of course, the White Sox just got Ventura back. They're starting to produce, so you would think they would be in a position to contend.
Maybe they feel the pitching's not good enough, or you're right. If Roberto Hernandez goes, that's it.
Yeah. That'd be the signal that the White Sox don't think they can do it. There's a curveball in dirt, 1-1 to Pose. And again, we mentioned trades. If you joined us late, Mariano Duncan, who has wanted to go someplace where he could play for so long, was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays before tonight's game for minor league outfielder Angel Ramirez. That's low for a ball, 2-1. Ramirez numbers at Knoxville, and the Blue Jays have a roster spot because their fine outfielder Orlando Merced put on the disabled list tonight. There's a couple of the other trades that were made. He committed, and the strike 2 to Pose, 2-2.
Ken Hill, of course, could be a free agent, so the Rangers shipped him out to the Angels, who are looking for a pitcher.
Check swing. Kabinski off the mound, bobbles it. Nice play. Very agile by the lefty. He retires the Yankees in order in the third. And we'll head to the top of the 4th inning as we get another look at the inning-ending play. Yankees lead it by 3. Six to 3. A lot of action in the early part of this one. Doc Gooden takes the mound in the top of the 4th. Needs a clean inning here.
Well, he hasn't had one all night long. He's going to face Brett Bain. The former Met will lead it off. Will be followed by the top of the order, Spezio and Magadan. And the first pitch is poured in there for a called strike. The Yankees with 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors, and for the A's, 3 runs on 5 hits, and they too have played errorless ball. Ball and a strike. Mention the A's and the tough year they're having as we look at our Toyota box score here at the top of the 4th inning. McGuire and Canseco each with a hit, along with Brosius and Young and Magadan. So nobody working on a multiple hit game as of yet. 2 balls and a strike. The A's longest winning streak this year is 3 games, and they've only done that twice.
That makes for a long year.
Yeah, it does. They haven't gotten through the rotation one time. Line drive into left field, a leadoff single for Brett Bain. Good piece of hitting going to the opposite field. Hit number 6 off of Doc Gooden. And now the top of the order, and Scott Spezio to the plate.
Little jam shot. You see Maine just fight it off. He almost looked that ball into left field.
He's looking over at third base coach Ron Washington. Brad Fisher coaches at first. Spezio tonight, I mentioned flat out to left a couple of times to Scott Pose. Ball one outside. So I mentioned the A's only twice as they won 3 in a row. That's happened to other ball clubs though. The Tigers, the Royals, the Phillies, all of them have not won 4 straight this year. Kenny Rogers up again in the bullpen. Tough to get through that rotation. Ball is fouled off. And the count is 1-1 on Spezio.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fun being on those teams where you get to the clubhouse and you say, hey guys, let's get hot and win one. You get spoiled being on contending teams where, and the goal is to win series. You know, you win 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, and then you'll string 5 in a row, and that's how you win world championships like the Yankees did last year. They won a lot of series.
Ball and a strike on Spezio. Ground ball to the right side and through in the right field for a base hit. Maine is going to stop at second. So back-to-back singles for the A's to open the 4th inning against Doc Gooden. Good try by Soho at second base.
Yeah, playing in double play depth, Luis, just a step closer to the bag with the man on first, and that's all it took. Full out dive, couldn't quite reach it.
Going to have a visit to the mound as Mel Stoudemire will come out again. It's going to give Kenny Rogers even more time to work in the bullpen as the 2 runners are aboard with nobody out. You're starting to get into the bigger hitters on the A's, and they can hit the ball. Stairs, McGuire, Canseco, Giambi, all pretty good hitters.
Kind of see Mel shrug his head as if to say, hey, you know, they got a couple of singles. You're trying to hit the corners. It's not working. Go ahead and fire it in there. Somebody might hit one at somebody. Of course, Joe Torre, we talked about it in the open. He says we need more consistent outings from Doc Gooden. Yankee starting rotation looked pretty solid for a while. Then Arabu went downhill, and now Doc has been inconsistent. So they're relying on the big 3: Cone, Wells, and Pettit.
Good contact hitter at the plate, but also a hitter that capable of hitting it into double play. There's a call strike. Magadan, not blessed with the greatest of speed, but is a good, solid line drive hitter. He's walked and singled tonight. The Orioles are nobody beats the win scoreboard, leading 4-1 over Texas. Milwaukee shutting out Toronto again. Can they score?
Jose Mercedes, the pitcher in that one. Young rookie Steve Woodard shut him out. That's Randy Johnson getting knocked around.
Wow. Ball and a strike to Magadan. Minnesota over Kansas City 8-3 in the 3rd. And Detroit 2-0 over Chicago. They're in the 4th at Comiskey. And that's why the White Sox have given up.
Yeah, very timely in that Anaheim lead over Cleveland, because they pick up Ken Hill. Now with Randy Johnson getting knocked around, those Angels are closing the gap in the American League West.
1 ball, 1 strike. Magadan steps out. Gooden steps off. I heard that young Jason Dixon, now the Angels have been in a 4-man rotation. Now the young rookie right-hander has come up with a tender elbow, so they needed a pitcher in a hurry. Now maybe they'll go back to the 5-man and give him a little extra rest between starts. 2 on, nobody out. There's a curve call for a strike. 1-2 to Magadan. Little sly smile on his face.
Now that's, you mentioned early in the game from a hitter's standpoint, if you don't show a hitter that you can get your breaking ball over, they just sit on that fastball, and Doc threw Magadan a good one there. Cotton candy popular here in these summer months.
And a whole load of it too. He's not finished yet. That ought to last at least till next inning.
Got a 50-pound bag of it.
Take it home tonight, whatever he doesn't finish, and use it for a pillow. Ball and 2 strikes on Magadan. You can see how the pace of this game has slowed down. Doc taking his time, Magadan trying to dictate the pace of this at-bat, steps out.
Well, they're confused on the sign.
Yeah.
Joe Girardi flashing some sign. You're right. What dictates the pace of a game is the pace of the starting pitchers. And that's why this one is kind of dragged along. Doc struggling with his control. Guy's struggling to say he's got a full board there. He hasn't sold any yet.
You ever hear those vendors? They're very creative.
Eggs sing to you?
Yeah, but they vendors selling programs before the game. Game won't start till I'm out of programs. 2-2, the bag of it. You know, some of them toss the peanuts down the aisle or popcorn or whatever. Fans toss the money back. Matt Stairs is on deck.
And if Doc doesn't get Magadan out, he'll be facing Kenny Rogers.
2-2 on Magadan. Off the glove of Girardi and back towards the on-deck circle of the A's. And the run around third, he's going to hold there. No sense taking chances when he's down by 3 runs. Brent Bain, the third. That's going to be a wild pitch charged to Doc Gooden. Tried to break off a little something extra on the curveball. They got more than he bargained for.
Yeah, and the wild pitch was his 80th. You see Girardi move inside. I think what's difficult for Doc Gooden to do, he's pointing out to Joe where the ball tear him to, and Girardi shags it down quickly. I think what it's difficult for Doc Gooden to do, a pitcher who just trusted his fastball and threw it in the zone and said, here it is, hit it if you can. Now he's trying to hit his spots, and that's not his game. He almost has to just trust his stuff, see what the results will be. He cannot, that's his 80th pitch already. We're in the 4th inning. He cannot pitch this style of baseball. Don't know anyone that can.
Maine at third, Spezio at second. Full count. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Magadan chases a breaking ball out of the zone. Big strikeout for Doc Gooden.
Yeah, they came with the 3-2 curveball, and that was a good one. See, that ball broke over the plate. The other ones were going outside or inside. It's tough for a hitter to lay off that curve when it breaks right down over the plate, and that bought Doc Gooden an extra out, a chance to stay in the ball game.
Here's Matt Stairs, a pretty good contact hitter, having a very good year. 366 batting average in limited playing time, but 17 home runs. Many more than he hit in his career. Swing and a miss, another good curve. Stairs came into this year with 11 career homers, and a lot of those in pitch hitting roles. And with his 17 home runs this year, he's bought himself some more playing time. Maine at third, Spezio at second. Now there's 1 out. Yankees are up by 3. Pitch is hit high and deep to center field. Curtis going back. He has some room. Just in front of the warning track, makes the catch. Both runners are going to tag. Maine will score, and it is now 6-4 Yankees. Stairs gave that one a long ride to center. Gets himself his 47th RBI of the year as Maine crosses home plate.
Yeah, there have been a couple of just misses in the early part of this ball game. Ernie Young skied one to left field, and now Stairs just got underneath that one. But he does get a sacrifice fly to bring the A's within 2.
Well, the Yankees had a 6-1 lead. The runner on third, 2 outs, and a tying run at the plate in Mark McGwire. And that's in for a call strike. Again, the curve. McGwire, by age 32, and hit 329 home runs. And you figure the number of games he has missed, they projected if he had played all those games, he'd have over 413 homers. That backs him off, and the count is 1-1. And here's a list of home run leaders by age 32. How about Jimmy Fox?
500.
Old Double X, 500 home runs. Mickey Mantle second. Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson, Babe Ruth, Mel Ott, and Willie Mays. There's a pitch, called strike, 1-2.
Mark 33 right now, be 34 when the season ends. Well, he saw a lot of fastballs in the outside corner. Now Doc is spun 2 good hooks over to him.
Now, McGuire does not, of course, Jimmy Fox with the 500 home runs by age 32. Curve hangs high, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. When McGuire did break one of Jimmy Fox's franchise records. Of course, Jimmy Fox played for the Philadelphia A's. McGuire, with this year over 30 home runs, has 8 30-plus home run seasons. And Jimmy Fox had 7. Full count on a high fastball.
Yeah, when you talk pure power hitters, this guy is right up at the top. See, Girardi sets up outside. And again, it's belt high, but it's called for high.
And called strike 3.
That might be an ejection, right? He's going to give Jim Joyce his bat and helmet. He's going to say, here, you go hit that pitch.
Whoa. They're trying to keep him in the game. I think this is just frustration of all this trade talk and everything boiling over. McGuire unhappy. Yankees lead 6-4 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. There's a look at first baseman Mark McGuire. Yankees leading 6-4. He's still in the ball game. Going to have a chance to look at those last 2 pitches that he saw last inning. As Jeter fouls the pitch off for strike 1 here in the bottom of the 4th. Certainly wasn't happy with the outcome of his last at-bat. And he was quoted as saying earlier this year, Jim, I don't argue unless I'm right.
And usually that's an ejection. He handed the helmet and the bat to Jim Joyce and said, here, you hit that pitch. And his argument was, I can't hit those pitches. I can't reach them.
Low from Tim Kaminski, and it's a ball and a strike to Derek Jeter. Jeter has been on twice, scored both times, a single and walked. And that'll move the count to 1-2. I don't think I'd want to be the next guy to argue with Jim Joyce, because I think you're going to be gone in a hurry.
Yeah, he showed great restraint, as Ted Henry did last night when Joe Girardi spiked his helmet through his bat. That's usually an automatic ejection when you throw equipment.
A bouncing breaking ball.
And as much as the liberal strike, I mean, the strike zone got too small for a long time. It needs to be a little liberal, but I think it's a disservice to hitters to make it as wide as it is and not the high strike. I think it would be better for everybody involved if you went back to the rule book and made it, you know, liberal from top to bottom. But when you've got pitches way out there that you can't reach, I mean, hitters can adjust to hitting a high strike, but they can't adjust to hitting a ball that's 3-4 inches outside. You buy that?
I think also you'd get more strikeouts from the pitchers that throw the high fastball. You'd see more strikeout totals instead of hitters actually swinging the bat. Jeter swings and misses strike 3. He's out of there.
Yeah, see, here's the one that Doc Gooden wants. Now, Girardi is seated, is way outside, very close to the outside corner, but he's sitting outside. That pitch was called a ball. Now again, Girardi moves outside, and that pitch. See, that one was off the plate but low. Man, McGuire's argument that he couldn't reach it. You go hit it.
Whoa. That's what I thought got him thrown out of this game, that last gesture.
I think his gesture was meant to be the strike call that Jim Girardi was Jim Joyce was ringing up.
Soho's at the plate, and the count is 2-0.
Yeah, the pitch over the plate, going back to the strike zone, top to bottom. I mean, then as a pitcher, you can change the plane of your pitches. And Doc Gooden, for example, he's always been a high ball pitcher.
Breaking ball in for a strike.
And even though it's nice, I mean, they talk about Greg Maddux, who's a great pitcher no matter what the strike zone is, but in his 78-pitch game, you know, they talk about how the plate's like 22 inches wide.
Soho pops one in the air to the right side. Going back as a second baseman, Spezio calls everybody off, makes the catch. 2 down. I think Greg Maddux, a pitcher like Maddux, has really benefited from the wide plate.
No question.
Because his movement starts in the zone and then off the plate. Hitters chase, and sometimes he gets the pitch call. I think Maddux would not benefit as much because he doesn't throw as hard as some of the other pitchers from a high strike zone. He wouldn't be able to push it by hitters upstairs the way some of these other guys can.
Yeah, you go back to that legitimate rule book strike zone where the top of the strike zone, really it says the midpoint between the shoulders and the waist, which is like right in there. You know, but you never see a strike called there. And managers come into Yankee Stadium last year when Jimmy Key was here, for example, and the first thing they'd ask was who's behind the plate, because they know he's going to get the outside part of that plate.
O'Neill grounds out to first. It's going to be the easy 1-2-3 inning for Kaminsky. His second in a row as the Yankees go in order here in the 4th. Going to the 5th inning. It's 6-4 Yankees. Yankees, top of the 5th inning. Ken Singleton along with Jim Kahn tonight as Jose Canseco will lead it off for the A's. Swinging at the first pitch, he rolls it foul, and it's handled by third base coach Ron Washington.
Well, Kenny, Doc Gooden now has 18 out of 23 hitters he's faced, 18 first pitch strikes. And yet he has struggled to get outs. Yeah, I think, again, in Doc's case, you'll see Joe Girardi. Every catcher is different. Pitchers are different in terms of how much movement they like from a catcher. You'll see Joe sometimes sit. Ooh, that's a perfect. That might be the best one he's thrown tonight.
Had a little snap to it, and the count goes 0-2.
But sometimes with pitchers that are struggling with their control, instead of sitting outside the strike zone, you stay behind the plate and just lean one way or the other. Give them a little bigger target to hit.
Another breaking ball swung on and missed. Strike 3. 3 pitches and Canseco is out of there. And this is the 5th strikeout for Doc Gooden, his second in a row.
Yeah, he has found the rhythm now with that fast-paced motion. The strikeout of McGuire. Now Doc says, hey, I got a chance to win this game, get through the 5th inning.
He'll face the left-handed hitting Jason Giambi, who has a no-contact night going. He has struck out and walked. For a power hitter, he chokes up on the bat quite a bit. Popped up to the infield near second base. Soho is going to take it, and that's out number 2. So 4 pitches and 2 outs. Doc Gooden working at a better pace this inning than he had been previously in the game. Scott Brocious drove in 2 runs, bases loaded single in the 3rd, and grounded to Wade Boggs at 3rd in the 2nd inning. Well, it gets this time of year, it's tough to bring that average up too quickly.
Got a lot of at-bats under your belt.
All strike with the curve. Dodgers have beaten the Pittsburgh Pirates, who've come upon hard times of late, 3-1. Florida lost last night to Cincinnati, bouncing back tonight, and the Atlanta Braves over the Cubs, 2-1. That's in the 5th inning at Turner Field. The Houston Astros, who had come within 1 game of a club record of 10 wins in a row, trying to bounce back. Montreal leading Colorado 1-0. It's at Coors Field. Brocious pops it up. This is down the right field line. Tino Martinez crosses into foul territory and does not make the catch. The fan makes the catch. And once Tino leaned over the tarp, that's in no man's land. Or that young man's land.
Yeah. And Tino's saying, I thought these were Yankee fans here. See, he's going to reach in. Wow. Now that fan really reached out into the field of play and caught it. Tino did not reach into the stands, and I think technically if first base umpire John Hirschbeck wanted to rule, he could have called fan interference there. Young kid is happy he didn't.
Brocious still alive at the plate, and, ooh, maybe not for long. He's drilled. Fastball gets him. And with 2 outs, he heads the first. But what it does, it brings the tying run to the plate.
Brings a tying run to the plate. It means that Joe Torre may have to make a move. Doc Gooden could have had a clean 1, 2, 3 inning. His pitch count now up about 100, and that's a lot for 5 innings. Boy, that takes a lot of juice out of your arm. And instead of about a 6-pitch 1, 2, 3 inning, he's, you mentioned, going to have to face the tying run.
Here's Ernie Young. No clue on the hook, and it's strike 1. Ernie Young covers a lot of ground in the outfield. You figure in between Giambi and Canseco, he's going to have to cover a little bit more. Throw to first, and Brocious is back.
Well, there's that improved pickoff move of Doc Gooden. He actually had Brocious breaking toward second base and almost caught him.
Brocious is off and running. Here's a no throw to second. Didn't look like Girardi came up with the ball cleanly out of the glove. So a stolen base for Brocious. Sometimes when you're hit by a pitch, you think about stealing.
You take out your frustration. Brocious got a good jump, and it was a breaking ball. And Girardi no chance to throw him out.
So Brocious now in scoring position at second with 2 down. Call strike to Ernie Young.
And the fans, of course, standing and clapping because the man that prevented Tino Martinez from catching the 3rd out is being ushered out of the stadium. Price of a souvenir.
Ball and 2 strikes on Young. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Doc Gooden leaves Scott Brocious at second. Picks up his 6th strikeout of the night. We've played 4 1/2. The Yankees lead it 6-4. The Yankees leading. Tim Kabinsky has retired 8 men in a row since hitting Tino Martinez in the 2nd. So the young left-hander out of UCLA doing a pretty good job. And here's Martinez once again. This time he drops a hook low for a ball. Tino has been hit by a pitch and flied out to right field. 35 home runs, leads Major League Baseball. Pitch is low, ball 2, 2-0. Now he's in that supreme hitter's count. 2 balls and no strikes. Off-speed breaking ball swung on and missed, and the count is 2-1. Good pitch by Kabinsky.
A nice opportunity for young Tim Kabinsky. Say young, he's not much younger than Andy Pettit, but he's inexperienced. Gary Haught, the right-hander, getting ready. Situations like this is where you learn to pitch in the big leagues.
Another good breaking ball, and it's 2-2 to Tino.
You have a successful performance against Tino Martinez, and you say, hey, this works. I'm not intimidated by him. I make my pitches. I can get him out. That was a good hook.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Up and in, and the count has gone full at 3-2. Well, he's ready to come in, Tino. Tino wasn't ready. Yeah.
Gotta love that.
Yeah. Aggressive on the mound. Payoff pitch. Swung on, hit hard. McGuire gloves it. And he steps on the bag for 1 out.
Had a chance to talk to Mark McGuire, Kenny, about what kind of year Tino Martinez is having. You know, Mark is known as a home run hitter. Tino isn't, yet Tino leads the league. This is what Mark had to say about watching Tino Martinez.
It's fun to watch, and you know, people here in Yankee Stadium and in New York have been watching a great player, Don Manley, for many years, and Tino's making them forget about him. Great power, hitting for average, driving runs when you need to. And as a baseball fan and a player, I love to watch it.
Nice response from Mark McGuire. about Tino Martinez. Of course, Don Mattingly Day will be August 31st.
Yeah, even though
stadium,
even though Mark said Tino's making him they'll never forget Don Mattingly, but Tino now settling into another in a long line of great Yankee first basemen.
It just swung on and missed by Ivan Cruz. The count is 1-2. Of course, Tino Martinez's next home run will be his 36th, and that will be the most for a Yankee first baseman since Lou Gehrig in 1937, when he hit 37 home runs. Two and two on Ivan Cruz. DHing tonight is doubled and flied out. Pops it up into foul territory over near the A's dugout. Coming over is Magadan and makes the catch.
You know what's amazing about the dates you just mentioned is that when back in the early 60s and you heard all the talk of Babe Ruth's 60 home runs, I mean, that seemed like it just was way, way in the past. Roger Maris comes along and hits 61. There is now more time between Maris's record and whoever breaks it than there was between Ruth and Maris. There was 34 years there. Now there's been 36 years since Roger Maris has broken the Babe's record.
You know, at the beginning of the year, Tino got off to a great start. McGuire did as well with the home run hitting, and they were ahead of the pace of Roger Maris. But this is where everybody starts to fall back.
Yeah.
Because this is where Roger Maris really got hot. Pitches in for a strike. Of course, it also helped that he had Mickey Mantle right behind him, hitting 54 home runs that year. And the Yankee Ball Club itself went on to set the all-time record at that time with 241 home runs. 0-2 pitch to Boggs is low and away.
Which with today's ballparks, the way they're building them hitter-friendly, I mean, each year it seems like a different team's going to break that.
Ball and 2 strikes. 2 and 2. Of course, the Yankees had some great hitters on that club, but not only Mickey Mantle and Maris, but and players like Moose Gower.
Yeah, you had when I had to face that lineup, and they had Boyer down there hitting 8 that could take you out of the ballpark.
He had 18 home runs that year, yeah.
And of course, Elston Howard and Yogi.
Charlie Blanchard. Pitches hit in the air to right center field. Ernie Young could have covered some more ground out there. He puts it away for the final out here in the 5th inning. So Tim Kavinsky did a great job. He's retired 11 in a row, while the Yankees lead at 6-4.
Jamie Foxx gets his day in court.
Liar.
What? Your mama? Lucky for him, the star witness is his best friend.
He's the most obnoxious, lazy bonehead I've ever encountered.
Was his best friend. Then, the Wayans aren't afraid of anyone. Well, except this guy.
I heard he's been on cop so many times he's up for an inmate.
So who's gonna save him?
If I was 20 years younger,
You still get your behind kicked.
The Wayans after Jamie Foxx.
Tomorrow, starting at 9 on the WB11.
Kenny Rogers takes over for the Yankees on the hill here at the top of the 6th inning. 6-4, the Yankees on top. Rogers working in relief for the first time since Friday. Had a good outing against the Seattle Mariners. There's his overall numbers on the year: 95 innings, 100 hits, 54 strikeouts. This will be his 6th relief appearance. Worked Friday against Seattle, pitching a career-high 5 innings of relief and allowing only 1 hit while picking up 3 strikeouts along the way. So Kenny Rogers comes on, takes over for Doc Gooden. Doc left 5 innings, 4 runs, 7 hits, 5 strikeouts, and 3 walks. And there's the first hitter that Kenny Rogers will face. It's going to be Brett Maye, who has scored one of the 4 runs for the A's in tonight's game. He scored a run, the last run, in the 4th inning.
Kenny Rogers really is pitching on the normal rotation as if he were a starter. He pitched 5 innings on Friday night. Coming back on the 4th day after 5 innings, that's ideal rest. Don't know how much throwing he's done between time.
First pitch of the night for Kenny Rogers is hit towards the right side. Nice play by Soho. And throws out Brett Maye. So Maye's bid for a base hit taken away on a backhand play by Luis Soho at second. 1 pitch and 1 out here in the 6th inning. And the lineup will turn over once again, and the switch hitting Scott Spezia will come to the plate. Now, he's hit .258 left-handed this year, only .190 batting as a right-handed hitter. Said part of his problem is that he swings at too many pitches out of the strike zone, gets a little over-anxious. Sometimes you'll find that it is a trait of young hitters. Not swinging at a bad one there, and it's ball one. Pops up a pitch foul over the Yankees dugout, and the count is a ball and a strike. Spezia was out here earlier today working with third base coach Ron Washington as Gary Hart still throwing in the bullpen. Working on that double play pivot. We saw him working on that earlier this year out in Oakland, the first week of the season. Spezia was a third baseman in the minor leagues. No opening at third. He's played second this year. He's done a pretty good job. Jammed on a fastball and it's popped up. Short right field for the second baseman Soho, out number 2. Good pitch by Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, Kenny's got some good late life on that fastball, and he jammed Spezia. That's a pretty tough switch you were talking about. I think, you know, infielders, to go from the infield to the outfield is a pretty easy adjustment. But I go from third to second, learning to make that double play, different angle on the throw. And that's where all those hours when teams come out here at 3, 4 in the afternoon for a night game with coaches like Ron Washington, that's what they work on.
Dave Magadan takes a call strike. Kenny Rogers getting ahead of the left-handed hitter. To second base, you have to throw from all kinds of different angles, particularly on a double play ball. Nice curveball swung on and missed. 0-2. Kenny Rogers is coming out of the bullpen throwing strikes.
Watch his follow-through and what he's doing, because the curveball hangs inside. In his mind, he's saying if he hits this pitch, he's going to hit it to the right side. He's an excellent fielder. He got a good jump off the mound to get in position in case it was hit that way.
Well ahead on the count. No balls and 2 strikes. All or nothing pitch, and it's just outside for a ball.
Well, he should be pitching with a mission. First of all, he can help the Yankees win the ball game. That's his team right now. But he also says, I need to be starting somewhere, whether it's here or whether it's elsewhere. And now with Arabu being demoted, a couple of good innings here for Joe Torre might earn him a start.
Tagging in a bouncy ball right back to Kenny Rogers. There's an example of a good fielder. Throws out Magadan, and an easy 1-2-3 inning for Kenny Rogers in his first inning out of the bullpen. And the fans are on his side. Yankees lead it 6-4.
Who is George Costanza?
I'm an idiot.
He's a hard worker.
When you look annoyed all the time, people think that you're busy. Think about it.
Yeah, you do. He looks very busy.
Generous.
Why can't there be some things just for me? Is that so selfish?
Actually, that's the definition of selfish.
And completely self-assured.
I feel like my old self again. Completely insecure, paranoid, neurotic. It's a pleasure.
Meet George 6 days a week on Seinfeld.
Tonight at 11 on the WB11.
6-4, Yankees leading. Hey, Yankee fans, the Yankees want you to join their official fan club for kids. There's 2 packages to choose from, the double play with lots of great stuff, and the Grand Slam's got even more. Yankee caps, t-shirts, ticket discounts, and there's even an official newsletter. So if you're 16 or younger, ask Mom or Dad to sign you up. Call 201-784-9600. For more information, that's 201-784-9600. Sounds like it could be a good time for the youngsters.
Looks like a few of them have already joined. Got the jersey, the cap, the glove, and they see themselves up on the message board. So a lot of kids playing this game and coming to the ballpark.
Gary Hart comes out of the bullpen. And he's making only his 5th appearance of the year. There's been a lot of pitchers up and down from Edmonton to the minor leagues. 26-year-old right-hander.
Yeah, the Oakland Athletics, Art Howe has a 4-man starting rotation, but he's got 8 pitchers in the bullpen. And they get plenty of work. The A's starters average just a little over 5 innings a game, and tonight Carlos Reyes only went 1.
Young man, right-hander from Choctaw, Oklahoma. Wonder if Bobby could tell us where Choctaw is. Here's a pitch in for a strike to Chad Curtis.
Well, I tell you, if he does the same kind of job Tim Kabinski did, he's coming up from Edmonton. He retired. I think you mentioned the last 11, shut the Yankees out for 4 innings.
Didn't allow a hit, struck out 1, didn't walk anybody. Good job for the young left-hander. Nice movement on the fastball and a called strike. 0-2 on Curtis. Curtis, Girardi, and Pose, bottom third of the Yankees order, who contributed very well to last night's game for the Yankees. Would you call it a herky-jerky motion? Usually it's the lefties who do.
Yeah. Now, I would think as a hitter, you being a switch hitter, it's not going to be as deceptive to you because you're on that left side of the plate. But those types of motions are the things that hitters will say, boy, it's tough to pick up the ball. You know, you see his glove, his elbow, shoulder, knees.
Another sinker, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Hitters like those pitchers with that nice little la-di-da 1, 2, 3, and they don't care how hard you throw if they can just see the ball nicely.
Well, this guy gives you knees, elbows. The only thing he doesn't do, that hat doesn't fly off. See, he's got it pulled down way tight on his head. He might have learned that somewhere along the way. Who was it? Delson Bryles' hat used to fly off all the time?
And Jim Bouton right here for the Yankees.
Yeah.
In fact, heard Joe Morgan. There's a look at Gary Haught's motion. You see how he turns, knee, little 3/4 delivery. Not a normal fluid motion that a hitter likes to see.
Full count on Chad Curtis. Well, he likes that high ball, but that was ball 4.
Heard Joe Morgan talking about his, Joe the Hall of Famer, talking about another Hall of Famer, his ex-teammate Eddie Matthews. I think his name came up earlier when you mentioned the home run hitters. And Eddie had, when Joe Morgan asked him about how hard this pitcher throws, Eddie Matthews has said, you know, I can hit a speeding bullet if I can see it. And that's the way a lot of good hitters feel. They don't care how hard you throw. If they can see the ball and it's straight, they'll hit it.
Once again, a payoff pitch to Chad Curtis, leading off for the Yankees here at the bottom of the 6th. Ground ball to the left side. It's Brosius at short. And the throw gives Curtis out number 1. You know, for the Yankees, you know, this is a first look at Haught, first look at Kabinski. Good move by Art Howe to bring some guys in that were the Yankee hitters are unfamiliar with. The Yankees have not gotten a hit off of a bullpen pitcher tonight for the A's as Joe Girardi steps in. Singled, scored the 2nd, grounded the 3rd, in the 3rd. The Yankees sent 8 men to the plate in the 2nd inning. Swinging a miss, strike 1.
And it's a good move by Art Howe because Tim Kabinski, you know, once, a little more than once through the batting order, he has a very positive performance. Doesn't leave him in long enough to face some of the good hitters 2-3 times, maybe get roughed up, and then he turns it over to Haught, gives him the same opportunity. You build confidence. I think we discussed last night how the Oriole organization that you were a part of for so many years, they did a great job of breaking pitchers in like that, out of the bullpen, 3-4 innings at a time.
Girardi chases a high fastball, fouls it off. Remember Sammy Stewart?
Sure do.
Sammy, young man from North Carolina, had a blazing fastball. Wanted to be a starting pitcher in the worst way, but Earl Weaver kept him down in the bullpen, and he might have been one of the better long men in the league. If somebody had a short start, Sammy could come in and do what Kabinski did tonight, but do it in a more overpowering fashion. Sammy finally got a start. His first Major League start against the White Sox. He struck out the first 7 guys he faced. Pitch is grounded to 3rd. Backhand for McAdoo. Long throw across the diamond is in time, out number 2. So after the 2nd inning, when he had struck out his 6th man in a row, and I mean the White Sox hitters had no chance, Brooks Robinson's in the dugout and says, Sammy, don't be too disappointed if you don't strike everybody out tonight. Here's Scott Pose. And Sammy went out there and struck out the first guy he faced in the next inning. Poe's a bunt single in the second inning. And that helped the ball keep rolling after Girardi had singled to open up the inning. Yankees scored 3 times. Ground ball back to the mound. Hart has it. Throws the first, and once again, the A's bullpen is perfect. 1-2-3 inning for the Yankees here in the 6th. Jim Conley calling the action for you as we go to the 7th inning.
You're watching the WB11, home of Michigan J. Frog.
Yeah. 6-4. Yankees leading the Oakland A's as we go to the top half of the 7th inning.
Matt Stairs will lead it off against Kenny Rogers, who pitched a very effective 6th inning, and I'm sure Joe Torre should give me one more, and then you've got Stanton Nelson and Mariano Rivera for the 8th and 9th. Not that Rogers couldn't pitch the 8th. Curveball misses for a ball. So many of those left-hand hitters are low ball hitters. You see Stairs swinging that bat down there. There's a curve that misses 2-0. They waggle that bat down about knee-high. Pitchers watch that. You know, the way a hitter swings in the on-deck circle, sometimes that'll tell you exactly where he likes the ball.
McGuire's a good low ball hitter.
Yeah. Now Rogers misses the strike zone with 3 straight pitches. And speaking of McGuire being a good low ball hitter, he's on deck. And a base runner would make McGuire the tying run. That's Mark's typical approach in the on-deck circle. He will have an imaginary at-bat. That's in for strike, 3-1.
See how he pumps that bat low through the zone?
Yeah.
McGuire on deck, and as you said, as he takes that imaginary, look at that. That shows you where he likes it.
Yeah. Likes it knee-high in the inside part of the plate. He's going to get a chance to swing it. No, he's not. Joe Torre is not going to go any deeper into the game with Kenny Rogers. Jeff Nelson is warmed and ready. And he'll come on to face Mark McGuire. So a very effective 6th inning, but then a disappointing start to the 7th as Rogers walks Matt Stairs. A smattering of applause from the Yankee Stadium crowd. Nelson coming on to take over the pitching chores to face Mark McGuire. Yankees lead by a pair. We'll be back after this.
Hey, sports fans, you can be part of New York Jets history as Bill Parcells leads the fired-up Jets into battle for the very first time. Be in the stands on Saturday night, August 2nd, as the New York Jets host their arch rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, at the Meadowlands. Tickets are only $30, so call now at 1-800-627-1046. The call is free. There's no handling charge, and a portion of the proceeds goes to help kids. So call 1-800-627-1046.
6-4, Yankees lead it. Hey, sports fans, be part of history when Bill Parcells makes his first appearance as the Jets head coach this Saturday at 8 p.m. at the Meadowlands. Call now, 1-800-627-1046. Tickets are only $30 a piece, and a portion of the proceeds go to help kids. Hurry, this offer ends Thursday. Order your tickets now by calling 1-800-627-1046. Yes, the tuna is back in town.
Jeff Nelson is back on the mound for the 53rd time, and it's been Nelson and Mike Stanton have done such a good job of setting up Mariano Rivera. And he'll face Mark McGuire. This is the last time Mark McGuire came to the plate against Doc Gooden.
Well, it's the 4th inning, and it's called strike 3, and McGuire did like the call by home plate umpire Jim Joyce. In fact, he had some choice words for Joyce. Some choice gestures, but remained in the game.
Yeah, that pumping of the arm was the strike call, and Mark was as if to say everything that's close, you're calling a strike, and I can't hit that pitch. And now he's going to face Jeff Nelson. Career-wise, 2 for 8. He does have a long ball against him. Good swing there, fouled straight back. Joe Torre would like to see about another 20 hours. Mark McGwire stay in this dry spell and then let Oakland get out of town, because 41 at bats, he hasn't hit a home run, and Joe knows sooner or later he's going to break out. He'd prefer it to be against someone else. Longest dry spell without hitting a home run since 1994.
I wonder if it's a coincidence that it coincides with all this trade talk.
Mike, did he check in time? Hirschbeck says no, and it's 0-2. Yeah, I think that might be a part of it.
Here's a look at the failed check swing by McGwire. Hitters can always bring that bat back, but it's how far that barrel went around.
That was way outside, and it's 1-2. Yeah, those strong hitters like McGwire, man, they can check that. They can check that swing. Of course, years ago, the power hitting outfielder of the Detroit Tigers, they used to talk about how Willie Horton checked his swing and broke a bat. I'd have to see that, I think. Get out of the hands with a fastball. And foul out of play, still 1-2. There's the Toyota box score. A's have 7 hits. Nobody has 2. Broch's single knocked in a couple of runs. Canseco had a double. That scored 1. And Stairs has the other RBI with a sacrifice fly. Got him. Good sidearm breaking ball, and for the 3rd consecutive at bat, Mark McGwire is a strikeout victim.
It looked like Jeff Nelson took a little bit off of that breaking ball and got McGwire out in front. So good touch with the slider for the strikeout. Here's a look at it again. Now the other breaking ball is a little harder as we look at the whole sequence. There's that hard slider, 1-1. Another one, 2-1. Foul back, had enough on the fastball. And he took a little off and struck him out.
Yeah, he's got good bite on that pitch right now, Jeff Nelson. Early in the year, he got underneath it, and it was like a frisbee. It tended to kind of float up there, but the one to McGwire, he got on top of it. It's got a late, sharp break to it. Ball 1 to Canseco. And now 1-1 as Jose looks back at Jim Joyce.
And it's that smile. You won't be smiling like that if that was strike 3.
No.
1-1. Yeah, okay.
On the run is Stairs, and he's going to steal second base easily. That Nelson, with all of his concentration on Canseco, never gave Stairs a look, and that's his first one of the year. Eliminates the conventional double play possibility.
Also fills the column for Stairs.
Wow, look at him. I mean, his foot is, looked for a minute like he was almost going to step on the plate, the back foot of Canseco. That's way outside, and I think he's hit Jeff Nelson very well. Average over 300. He's got a home run against him. And from that wide open stance, if Nelson leaves that breaking ball on the middle or the inside half, that is right in his zone.
Yeah, this foot is coming this way as the pitch approaches home plate to close it up.
But that was on the outside corner, a perfect pitch by Nelson. And it's 3-2.
Yeah, I wonder, pitchers down in the bullpen, they can sense that they have that good breaking ball when they are warming up in the pen. And it seems like Nelson, he has a lot of confidence in his hook tonight.
Check swing foul at the plate. Early in the year, I asked Jeff Nelson about that, and he said when he gets warmed up, he really doesn't throw his breaking ball that much. And I think Mel Stottlemyre and Tony Cloninger talked to him about making sure you throw enough curveballs in the bullpen so when you come into the game you have, confidence that you can throw it where you want to. You tend to warm up as a relief pitcher. You get the ball and you just throw fastballs. You get ready as quick as you can, and you have to have enough time to work on the breaking pitch as well. He did not go, and he laid off the borderline breaking ball. That one well outside, and Canseco works out his second walk of the game. And that's going to bring Joe Torre. Joe has moved the 8th inning up to the 7th tonight, all because of the leadoff walk by Kenny Rogers to Matt Stairs. Now with a power-hitting Jason Giambi due up, 2 men on and 1 down. Mike Stanton will get the call. So Nelson with a strikeout and a walk pitches a 1/3 of an inning. Hits are even, but the Yankees lead it by 2. We'll be back on WB11 after this. Back at the stadium, the Yankees lead it by a pair, but it has not been easy for Joe Torre's team after taking that 6-1 lead early in the game. After Oakland leaves, Yankees will have a day off Thursday, and then the Minnesota Twins will come in for a weekend series. Friday night at 7:35, Saturday's a 4:05 start. Athletic Sock Day, and then Sunday is Sports Bag Day. That starts at 1:35. Stadium ticket windows open Monday through Saturday 9 to 5, and Sundays from 10 to 5. Paul Molitor continues to work his way up the all-time hit list, and mentioned earlier, the Twins have the hottest pitcher in the American League right now. Right-hander Brad Radke has won 10 consecutive starts. And you see Mike Stanton's number, a perfect 5-0 with a save. He picked that up on the recent road trip. Almost to strike out an inning. In those 20 walks, a lot of those came early. His control's been a lot better lately.
And he's going to face a pinch hitter, as Jason Giambi will come out of the game. The A's have gone to a young outfielder, Patrick Lennon. So Art Howe making a move, going to the right-handed hitter.
Patrick Lennon with some big-time power. Oh, and Patrick Lennon has gotten an opportunity with a lot of different ball clubs. Originally drafted by the Seattle Mariners back in 1986. Red Sox gave him an opportunity. Kansas City.
Art Howe's pinch hitters have done a pretty good job this year. They've had 109 pinch hit at-bats, 39 hits, 3 home runs, and 23 RBIs. So the pinch hitters been pretty successful coming off the bench. So Patrick Lennon done a pretty good job himself. 8 at-bats, 4 hits, and 6 RBIs as a pinch hitter.
And with Stairs at second and Canseco at first, Lennon represents the lead run. The most he's ever hit in the minor leagues is 17, but when you look at Patrick Lennon, at 6'2", about 220, he's got that running back build.
Got a little waggle like McGuire up at the plate, too.
And he's standing right on top of the plate. Outside, ball 1. Only has 121 days in the big leagues in 11 years. Mentioned he's been with at least 7 organizations. The tools are there. And now again, Oakland is saying, let's see once whether they might come through. That's on the outside corner for a strike, 1-1.
I think he's been in the weight room, too.
I think you have to play for that team. You got to follow McGuire and Canseco. I know Jason Giambi has done that. Increased his power production. Yeah, he's got the guns. Breaking ball, 2-1. It's been like root canal tonight for the pitchers. I mean, it has not been easy. The Yankees gave Doc Gooden a 6-1 lead. Nobody out in the second inning. They already had 6 runs on the board. Jeff Nelson got a strikeout and a walk. Kenny Rogers an effective inning, then a walk. Late on that fastball, and it's 2-2. So seems like all the Yankee pitchers have given Oakland a chance to get that tying or lead run to the plate.
A lot of pitches have been thrown in this game.
Brocious has 2 RBIs. That single against Doc Gooden back in the 3rd inning. Now Lennon gets tired of waiting and he'll step out.
There's a certain rhythm, and as you saw, Joe Girardi gave the signs. Stanton wasn't ready, and then Joe gave him again. So Lennon said something's wrong here, backed out. Certain rhythm to every at-bat.
Boy, good quick swing, but that fastball just by him, and it's still 2-2, and that pitch sent Girardi to the mound. As if to say, well, what do you think? He had a pretty good swing at that fastball. You talked about how 2-2 is the action pitch. That's the pitch. As a pitcher, you want to make something happen. And Joe right now just making sure with Mike Stanton what he would like to throw. You know, the catcher makes a suggestion, but when you pick up the box score, it says losing pitcher. It never says losing catcher. So the pitcher will have the last word. Straight back again.
I was mentioning the numbers, and you saw Lennon 4 for 8 as a pinch hitter. How about the youngster Martin Bellhorn off the bench? 5 for 7 as a pinch hitter. Dave Magadan's been 8 for 35 as a pinch hitter this year. Matt Stairs 11 for 29, so they've come off the bench swinging some lumber.
Or Stairs and Canseco on base right now did not have to swing it. They're both there by way of base on balls. Did he go? No, said John Hirschbeck. And Lennon has worked the count full against Stanton.
Here's a look at the last pitch, trying to get him to chase a breaking ball in the dirt. Almost, but not quite.
But there's that old, there's a lot of sayings in baseball, and there's one, hey, if he'll throw it 2-2, he'll throw it 3-2. And you got to believe a somewhat inexperienced hitter on the big league level like Patrick Lennon, you could get him with that changeup. Appeared to be. Had some kind of movement to it, like a breaking ball or a changeup. And again, Lennon seems to be able to wait till that last minute and not commit. You know, he's not getting caught out front at all. Ball's almost getting by him. Canseco and Stairs were on the run with a full count 1-out pitch. Second out of the inning.
Well, certainly not giving in on a payoff pitch right to the corner. That's a quality pitch on a count where a hitter's looking for something a lot better to hit. And a pitch low and away on the corner. 3-2 fastball.
And now Scott Brocious will step in, who has a pair of RBIs tonight. I guess it should not be a surprise when you're pitching against the Oakland Athletics that you see a lot of walks and a lot of strikeouts. We have seen that tonight. That's in for a strike. Because the A's do strike out more than anyone, but they also draw a lot of walks. Has not done well with runners in scoring position. He did tonight. Pretty well straight away in the infield and the outfield. Off-speed pitch, 1-1. Only the Philadelphia Phillies have more losses in the major leagues than the Oakland A's. Phillies have lost 72. Oakland has lost 65, and the Yankees trying to work their way through the last part of this game and win their 60th. They would be the 4th team in baseball to win 60. Straight back, good swing at that one, 1-2. Actually, if the Marlins, they were leading 7-1, as they did beat the Reds, so they now have won their 60th also. But the Braves lead 67, then Baltimore, and Seattle has 60 wins.
There's a saying in baseball, you'll win 60 games, you'll lose 60 games. It's what you do with those other 42 that really counts.
Same as Sid of starting pitchers. You know, if they have 35 starts a year, you're X amount of them, you're going to have great stuff and win. Some of them, it doesn't make any difference what you do, you're going to lose. But it's those middle 12 to 15 that determine what kind of year you're going to have. A ball and 2 strikes. Got him. Mike Stanton strikes out the 2 men he faced. 3 strikeouts in the inning by Nelson and Stanton. We go to the bottom of the 7th, and the Yankees still hold that 2-run lead. Yankees lead at 6-4 as we head to the top of the 8th inning. And hey, New York, is following a friend's advice ever gotten you into big trouble? Well, tonight on Seinfeld, Jerry's in hot water when his 2 cents cost his friend a fortune. Find out if it's better to speak up or clam up. That's tonight at 11 only on the WB 11. Mike Stanton, who struck out Patrick Lennon and Scott Brocious to end the Oakland 7th, will face Ernie Young. Second hitter due up is a left-hand hitter, so right now Joe Torre will try to get an out or 2 out of Stanton and maybe get Mariano Rivera ready just in case. That pitch on the edge for a strike.
Tony Batista, the young shortstop's come out, and he'll be hitting for Brent Maine. One thing that Mike Stanton has done, I'd say for over a month now, with his good pitching out of the bullpen, he's thrown a lot more strikes than he did early in the season.
Yeah, the pitching lines can be deceptive. You look at the 20 walks, and so many of those were in the early part of the year.
Spent a couple of days with Mel Stoudemire in the bullpen, and since then he's really straightened it out.
That pitch misses for a ball, 1-1. Ooh, good fastball there, and Young was late on that. We'd mentioned earlier in the game, Ernie Young hit the first home run for the Oakland A's and went down to the minors.
Little one-on-one challenge, yeah.
Yeah, a little late on that one. And Damon Mayshore was playing a lot in center field. Good young player. He's out with a shoulder separation, so Young back up and a chance to play. That misses, 2-2. Nice night last night against David Cone. He got a double and a 2-run homer.
Hit a high and away fastball into the seats in right field.
Check swing, stays alive. Mentioned the Oakland A's. They strike out a lot. They have struck out more than any team in the American League. And tonight, in 7 innings, Denny Walling's hitters have struck out 9 times, but only the Yankees have drawn more walks. They also draw a lot of walks, and tonight they have drawn 5 walks, and Doc Gooden hit a batter. Late again on the fastball, still 2-2 to Young.
The hitting is controlled aggression. You've got to be able to control the zone, not be ready to strike. You got to be aggressive, but you got to know your own strike zone. Not only that, you got to know the umpires too.
And there has been some controversy tonight around Jim Joyce's strike zone, particularly from Mark McGuire. In on the hands again.
Mike Stanton throwing very hard as McGuire looks on. Got the ammunition folded up and put in the locked away position.
He will get another at bat, if not this inning, in the 9th inning. Almost staring into space. We talked to him before the game as if they're just kind of mind wandering. Say, are they going to go ahead and make that deal, send me to St. Louis? Off-speed pitch puts Ernie Young away, and Mike Stanton has now struck out 3 consecutive Oakland hitters.
To mention how hard he's throwing, but also that work on the side was able to develop, get the curveball over more, and maybe develop a changeup. Couldn't quite throw anything by Ernie Young. Kept fouling pitches off, so he went to a trick, and it was no treat for Ernie Young.
A couple months early with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Tony Batista, you mentioned Art House had success with his hitters off the bench, so he'll send right-hand swinging Tony Batista, not a high average, he does have 4 home runs, to hit for Brent Maine. And in all probability, Izzy Molina, backup catcher, will come in and do the catching for the A's. You're talking about Mike Stanton's changeup. What happens when pitchers come up to the big leagues, I saw it happen with Rich Gossage when we were teammates in Chicago, and Mike Stanton that way with the Atlanta Braves. You come up with a good live arm and a good fastball, 2-0 now to Batista, and you don't really work on the other pitches. When you get in a game, you don't use them because they say, hey, don't get beat with a changeup. I mean, you're a fastball pitcher, so you gradually work on things like that on the side. And Goose Gossage talked to me often about how he just worked on a slider on the side, just bringing it along so that in the latter part of his career he could use it when he lost a little of that fastball. That's in for a strike, and I'm sure Stanton the same way. You know, with those sessions with Mel, he's gradually worked on that changeup to the point where now it's an effective pitch for him. In on the hands, 2-2, and nobody has pulled his fastball. You know, Ernie Young was late on all of them, so he's done a good job. He runs that fastball in on their hands, and then when a hitter gets conscious, his changeup is more than just an off-speed pitch. It's got some down break, so it's a strikeout type changeup.
Well, the fastball, to be effective like that, fastball has to be in the 90s. Has to be a big discrepancy in the speed of the 2 pitches.
Again, in on the hands, foul away down the right side.
So he is rushing it up there pretty good. A team like the A's, pretty good hitting ball club, although pretty good hitting ball club, and they can't seem to get around on the heat. Little disturbance here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We've had that a couple of times tonight, and we do have another nice crowd. Yeah, we had a great weekend series with the Mariners that drew over 150,000 people. And the crowd tonight, Tuesday night, with the Oakland Athletics, over 33,000 here at the stadium. And just a couple of them misbehaving.
Just a warning for anybody who might want to try that in the future. The security here is
they're quick.
They are very fast.
There's that off-speed pitch, and it misses. The count has gone full to Batista.
I mean, that one guy, I know he ran about a 6.5 60.
Michael Johnson.
Yeah.
Got him, 4 in a row. Change up and fastball. And Mike Stanton.
A little swagger on the mound after punching out Tony Batista. Nice little kind of walk. Strutting his stuff on him. Why not? You strike out 4 men in a row. You are doing it. They've all been taking that bat back to the rack.
Scott Spezio will step in with 2 out in the Oakland 8th. Outside for a ball. It's a good pattern for Mike Stanton. The one thing he doesn't need right now, I mean, for a starter, you need 3 pitches. Go through that batting order a couple of times, and you face some hitters like Mark McGuire 2 or 3 times. You need 3 pitches. But as a reliever, sometimes you can get by with 1, but if you have 2, and he's got a good blend, the fastball and the change. You know, again, nobody's pulled the fastball. That probably the worst pitch he could throw right now would be a half-speed breaking ball. You know, a slurve or a slider. There's the American League scores on our Nobody Beats the Wiz scoreboard. Doubleheader again in Milwaukee. There's the off-speed pitch, misses, and they're checked that it's in for a strike, and it's 1-2. Tim Wakefield, the knuckleballer, outdueled Randy Johnson. Now the Angels within a game and a half. They win behind Chuck Finley. Minnesota double figures. They're whipping up on Kansas City, and the Tigers beat the White Sox 3-1. Jam shot near the Yankee dugout, and this will just reach the camera well out of the reach of Tino Martinez. He's had a full contact night tonight, chasing down those foul pops between the tarpaulin and the camera well.
I'm sure they got a pretty good picture of all the action with Tino coming over in that direction near the Yankee dugout. Some people scrambling over it.
1-2 to Spezio. Hit sharply, but right at Boggs. Well, the first hitter that's put the ball in play against Mike Stanton, but Wade Boggs takes care of that. An inning and 2/3 of perfect baseball to give the Yankees a chance to win this when we're heading to the bottom of the 8th. 6-4 Yankees. Back at the stadium, the Yankees lead at 6-4. Let's take a look at our game summary brought to you by Tri-State Jeep and Eagle. If you were with us from the start, you saw the action. It happened early. Oakland scored first. Canseco an RBI double. O'Neill answered that with a 3-run homer. Luis Sojo got a 2 RBI single. O'Neill with a sacrifice fly, and then the A's struck back in the 3rd inning for 2. Got 1 in the 4th. Izzy Molina takes over the catching duties as Cruz takes a strike. That's low, 1-1. Got his first extra base hit tonight, that double off starter Carlos Reyes.
"29 years old now, long-time minor leaguer, started with the Tigers."
Ooh, pretty good hack right there, and it's fouled straight back, 1-2. Getting ready to come in and try to save his 31st game that leads the American League. It would tie Rod Beck of the San Francisco Giants for the Major League lead. Well, that's one reason. When Jose Canseco saw the lineup card tonight, you know, he likes that DH role because when he plays right field here, gets a few objects tossed his way. Doesn't mind, I guess, a soft teddy bear, which is what that was. That's in the dirt. 2-2 to Cruz. David Wells will pitch for the Yankees tomorrow. Mentioned New Yorker Steve Carsey. The right-hander will pitch for Oakland. Off-speed pitch. Cruz stays alive. We were talking about the trading deadline deals, Kenny. It's amazing how, you know, sometimes organizations have these prize prospects they just don't want to give up. Well, Carsey was one for the Blue Jays. Toronto had to give him up to Oakland to get Ricky Henderson, and combination of arm injuries, he's never really developed into that starter that Oakland thought they were getting.
But still, you got to feel coming back from injuries, there's a lot of upside with Steve Carsey.
Yep.
And Ricky Henderson no longer with the Blue Jays.
No swings is Ted Henry. Yeah, Ricky now playing for the Padres. Steve Carsey, I saw him win, might have been his first game or one of his first against Minnesota. He just looked like he was going to be a great #1 starter. He has had some arm surgery and working his way back. And Cruz draws a leadoff walk, so the Yankees in a position here to add to their 2-run lead. They have not scored since the 2nd inning. In fact, they don't have a hit since the second inning. The last base hit they got was Luis Sojo's. Pat Kelly will go into pinch run. They have 2 walks and a hit batsman. And that walk will send Bob Clark to the mound, Oakland pitching coach.
You saw Pat Kelly just come out and run for Ivan Cruz. Years ago, remember Len Cicada?
Yeah.
Lenny was a good infielder with the Orioles years ago, and my teammates had bet him that if I walked leading off the inning, he was going to pinch run for me, that he couldn't beat me to first base after I'd walked. So during the at-bat, I look over in the dugout. This is in Kansas City, and the dugout's on the third base side. I look over, he's on the top step with his helmet on, ready to charge out of the dugout. So there's ball 4, and I start running to first base. You know, it's not like your normal gait on a walk, and I'm running, and here he comes. He's running for all he's worth. I find out that the teammates had said they'd give him $100 if he could beat me to the bag at first. So he didn't do it.
I think, wasn't Lenny Cicada maybe the last shortstop to play before Cal Ripken took over the short? Yeah,
that's true.
So Mike Stanton ducked down the tunnel. His job is over. 5 up, 5 down in an inning and 2/3. And here's Wade Boggs. That's in for a strike. Wade 0 for 3, and all 3 balls hit in the air. You see by the graphic, 1 to left, 1 to right, 1 to center. That's outside, 1-1.
Kelly at first base has been pretty successful at stealing bases as Dane Johnson, who came in here last night, up again at the bullpen. Kelly has stolen 7 out of 8.
And I'm sure the Yankees have been timing the motion of Gary Hott, see how quickly he delivers the ball. You know, you got a catcher just in the ball game, hasn't played the entire game. Izzy Molina. That factors into it.
He's looking over for a possible pitch out.
Good pitch to Boggs, 1-2. You can see these veteran hitters like O'Neill and Tino Martinez and Boggs, even though they're good hitters, when you face someone you haven't seen before, boy, it's a big advantage for the pitcher if you can throw the ball over the plate. They don't know what to expect.
And Hott just took just enough off of that Wade Boggs had made his stride a little bit too soon, had to hold back.
Off the plate inside, 2-2. A slow-paced game, lots of pitches, lots of base-on balls. Most of the scoring early.
Yeah, even with the bullpens pitching some good baseball tonight, this game hasn't picked up the pace.
No.
You know, they've gone deep in the counts on just about every hitter.
Up the middle, into center field. Kelly will make the turn and head for third. And the Yankees have runners at the corners, nobody out. In the bottom of the 8th, Boggs' first hit of the night. Is he ready, says Bob Clark.
Well, this pitch just up enough, tailing away, and Boggs back through the middle for the base hit.
The first hit the Yankees have had since the second inning, and that'll bring Art Howe out of the dugout. His young pitchers, Tim Kabinski and now Gary Hott, have done a good job up till now, but it'll be the veteran Dane Johnson getting the call here in the bottom of the 8th, with the Yankees threatening to add to their lead. Gary Hott leaves. Dane Johnson comes on to face Chad Curtis, and we'll be back after this. Bottom of the 8th at 6-4 Yankees, but they're threatening to add to it. Runners at the corners and nobody out. We checked the Nobody Beats the Wiz scoreboard over in the National League. Those Dodgers just a game behind the Giants coming into tonight. Pedro Estacio the winner. Alex Fernandez wins for the Marlins. Braves, John Smoltz on track, the 7-2 winner over the Cubbies. Big series there, huh, Kenny?
Well, St. Louis trying to get back into it in the Central Division, but trailing tonight. They're getting into Billy Wagner territory.
Ooh.
Montreal leading Colorado. Mets 2-0 over the Giants here in the third inning. Recom Park. And the Phillies. How about that?
They could win 2 in a row.
Oh, wow. They're going to use up next week's allotment.
There's the veteran Dane Johnson. He's a perfect 3-0. Talk about a survivor. He pitched a couple of years over in Taiwan back in the early 90s. Better than a strikeout an inning. I mentioned earlier the Marlins winning their the Marlins won their 59th. If the Mets win, they will also win their 60th game tonight, as well as the Yankees if the Yankees hang on to this one. Four for 3 with a couple of ground outs. And with Kelly at third and Boggs at first, and Oakland down 2, Art Howell does not want to give up another run. He brings his infield in on the edge of the grass.
So Curtis's streak of reaching base safely 14 games in a row is on the line here. He also has an 8-game hitting streak going.
That pitch low for a ball. See Willie Randolph walking over to talk to Pat Kelly. Here's where, as a base runner, you really have to think quickly. Talk about how baseball's a slow-paced game, particularly tonight's has been, but things can happen very quickly on the diamond. In the air to right field and hit deep. Canseco is back. He's at the track. He's going to make the catch against the wall. That'll get Kelly home, and Boggs retreats to first. Well, Chad Curtis doesn't reach base, but he picks up a big RBI. It's now 7-4 Yankees.
Rogers ball well to right field. The pitch is supposed to be in. It's kind of out over the plate. Jose Canseco tracking it all the way. Sticking out that right hand, feeling for the wall, makes the catch. For a guy who hasn't been out there much, he's been busy tonight. The Yankees been testing him, but he's been up to the task.
For the Yankees now, Chad Curtis has 22 RBIs since joining him. Here's Joe Girardi. That's a nice block by Molina. We're talking about that first and third infield in as a base runner. You know, they're not going to turn a double play from that situation. So you have to, if you're Pat Kelly, say, well, you know, when the ball's hit on the ground, do you make it go through? There's a lot of options you have that you have to think out ahead of time before the ball's hit. He didn't have any problems thinking out that one, because once Chad Curtis hit it to the track, he scored easily. Up and in to Girardi, 2-0.
Joe just got a visit.
Yeah.
Make that next snap a little bit. See that? Don't throw very often at catchers, though.
They'll get back at you. Boggs not going anywhere, but Johnson keeps him close.
That's why it's hard for me to understand why Jason Kendall of the Pirates have been hit over 20 times this year.
Well, he must stand right. Either that, or he stand on the plate or dives into it. Foul out of plate on the right side. 2-1 to Girardi. Well, the Yankees have a 3-run lead. Looking ahead to the Oakland ninth. It'll be Spezio, Magadan, and Stairs, and if they get a base runner, Mark McGwire will get one more try. This is the last week of this stretch of home games that the Yankees have had since the All-Star break. 18 of 24 games have been here at the stadium. Up the middle, Girardi picks up his second hit of the night. And there again is that tail end of the order. Girardi and Curtis. Scott Pose coming up, got a bunt single earlier to give the Yankees this 3-run lead.
You start getting production from the tail end of the order, helps pick up the other guys when they're not having particularly good nights. Although Paul O'Neill's had a 3-run home run, 4 RBIs, so the kind of the middle of the order is held up their end too. So there's been production up and down through the Yankee order.
Now Scott Pose. That bunt single came back in the second inning. Low for a ball. Mentioned the Yankees are 7 wins, 5 losses, and a rainout with 5 games left on this homestand for Joe Torre. That includes tonight's game. Then they have to start playing on the road, so it would serve them well to, say, win 4 of these last 5 games at home. Johnson having trouble finding the strike zone now. It's 2-0. After this game, which has been a long one, already almost 3.5 hours old, we invite you to stay with us here on WB11. Seinfeld is coming up right after the game. Towards second base, Spezio to Brocious, and they turn a nice double play, even with the speedy Scott Pose running. Wade Boggs got a single. That helped the Yankees produce another run. We head to the bottom of the 9th. The Yankees holding a 3-run lead. Mariano Rivera takes over the pitching in the bottom of the 9th. With 3-run lead, a chance to pick up his 31st save. And Kenny, as much as we've talked about the Oakland bullpen keeping the A's in the game, the Yankee bullpen's done a great job of helping the Yankees win the game.
Well, the A's haven't scored since the 4th inning. Doc Gooden gave up 7 hits in the start. The Yankee bullpen has not given up a hit. Rogers walked a man, so did Nelson, but that's been it for the A's. As Rogers, Nelson, Stanton have all passed the baton in a way to Mariano Rivera to close this one out. And they've done a good job of it.
Yeah, Joe Torre's been able to move that pitching plan up an inning. You know, sometimes he'll go to Stanton and Nelson in the 8th inning. Tonight, after the walk by Kenny Rogers, he went to Nelson and Stanton in the 7th. And they have, particularly Stanton, Nelson's been in that role before, but Mike Stanton has really settled into that setup role, proving he can get out lefties or righties. Magadan takes the first pitch from Mariano Rivera, low for a ball. A hit and a walk in tonight's game. That's in for a strike, 1-1. Mentioned if a base runner gets on, Mark McGwire would get a chance to hit. That's 1-2, and if he does, the Cardinals made a move tonight. Maybe they cleared a roster spot for him.
And Mike Gallego, veteran infielder, placed on waivers for the purpose of giving him his unconditional release.
And that Gallego, of course, former Yankee, and Gallego, a longtime favorite of Tony La Russa, the teammate of Mark McGwire's during the great years at Oakland. In on the hands, right back to Mariano Rivera. The toss to Tino Martinez in time. First out in the Oakland 9th. Time now to look at our GMC turning point of the game. It happened early.
It happened early with 2 men on for Paul O'Neill. Kind of an off-balance swing, but a great result. A 424-foot home run right down the middle of the fairway. The kind of way that Jim Cott hits his drive.
Yeah. Well, Paul's got 4 RBIs. That gives him 80 for the season. And that was his 15th home run of the year. Here's Matt Stairs. That's right, they don't even need a base runner. I was thinking McGwire was due up 4th. He's due up 3rd, so he's going to get a chance to bat this inning. Stairs takes strike 1.
That last pitch had a little cutting action on it.
Another broken bat out to Soho. Now, Louis is a rhythm player, and he plays things on the run. And sometimes, you know, instead of getting behind the ball, you just try to play it on the run.
The ball stayed down low on that last hop. He was expecting to come up a little higher. Watch it go underneath the glove, and they're going to call that a base hit.
It's not a should have, but it's a could have been made by Luis Sojo. And it's a 3-run lead now. That was a big run for the Yankees because this does not represent the tying run. Now, boy, have these guys had a couple of nice battles in the last 2 years. That's in for a strike. Who will ever forget last year's confrontation? Mariano Rivera struck McGuire out twice last year to save a game, and then Mark got back at him opening day this year. One and one.
And David Cone had a tremendous effort on opening day, and Mark McGuire kind of spoiled it in the 9th inning. In fact, the A's went on to win that game.
Ooh, 1-2. Yeah, McGuire took a Rivera fastball out where you took one a couple of years ago on those black seats.
What a Rivera fastball. Swing and a miss on that last pitch.
On their feet at the stadium. Got him. The golden sombrero for Mark McGuire's 4th strikeout. This is what happened April 11th.
Well, the Yankees were up by a run until this blast by Mark McGuire straight away center field. And now, a different story. Boom. Blew it by him.
Linda Ronstadt blew by you. It's a tough night for Mark McGuire.